What I'm about to show you will fundamentally change how you think about our place in the universe, because the new images from the European Space Agency aren't just photographs. They're evidence of something that shouldn't exist, traveling at speeds that defy explanation, carrying secrets from a star system that died before Earth was even born. And the timeline we're looking at isn't measured in years or decades. We're talking about months, maybe weeks, before everything we thought we knew about interstellar visitors gets rewritten forever. The object hurtling toward us through the void of space is called 3I Atlas, and it's not like anything we've ever encountered before. When NASA's automated survey telescopes first spotted this cosmic wanderer on July 1st, 2025, they thought they'd found another routine asteroid drifting through our solar system. But within hours of that initial discovery, astronomers realized they were staring at something that would challenge every assumption about how objects move through space and what's possible in the depths between stars. This isn't just another space rock tumbling through our neighborhood. 3I Atlas is an interstellar comet, only the third confirmed visitor from beyond our solar system in human history. But here's where things get absolutely mind-bending. While the previous two interstellar objects we detected were relatively small and unremarkable, 3I Atlas is a monster. We're talking about something that could weigh 33 billion tons and measure over 3 miles across, making it orders of magnitude larger than anything we expected to find wandering the galaxy. The recent images captured by the European Space Agency's Mars orbiters represent the closest, most detailed photographs ever taken of an interstellar object. And what these images reveal is keeping astronomers awake at night, because the data doesn't match any natural phenomenon they've studied before. The object appears to be surrounded by a glowing envelope of gas and dust that extends for hundreds of kilometers in every direction, creating a luminous halo that suggests this thing is far more active than any dead rock should be. But that's just the beginning of what makes 3I Atlas so extraordinary. The chemical analysis conducted by the James Webb Space Telescope has revealed a composition unlike anything in our solar system. This object is releasing carbon dioxide, water vapor, carbon monoxide, and exotic compounds that shouldn't exist in the proportions we're measuring. Even more disturbing is the detection of cyanide gas and atomic nickel vapor streaming from its surface, creating a toxic cloud that follows this visitor as it races through space at 137,000 miles per hour. The trajectory of 3I Atlas tells a story that spans billions of years and distances so vast they're almost impossible to comprehend. Based on computer models that trace its path backward through galactic space, this object began its journey before our solar system even existed. We're looking at something that could be 7 billion years old, carrying material from a stellar nursery that collapsed into darkness eons before the first life appeared on Earth. It's been wandering the galaxy for longer than complex life has existed on our planet, drifting through the cosmic void in complete isolation until it stumbled into our corner of space. What's truly unsettling about the ESA images is how they contradict our expectations about what interstellar objects should look like after billions of years in the frozen vacuum of space. Objects that old should be dead, inert chunks of rock and ice with no activity whatsoever. But 3I Atlas is glowing, outgassing, and displaying behaviors that suggest internal processes are still operating after an impossible journey through interstellar darkness. The comet's nucleus is surrounded by a coma of ejected material that spans thousands of kilometers, indicating that something inside this ancient wanderer is generating enough energy to blast particles into space. The timing of this discovery couldn't be more significant. 3I Atlas is approaching the most critical phase of its passage through our solar system, racing toward its closest encounter with the Sun on October 30, 2025. This moment, called perihelion, will mark the point of maximum solar heating and potentially trigger changes in the object's behavior that could reveal secrets hidden for billions of years. But here's the catch. Just as 3I Atlas reaches this crucial phase, it's going to disappear behind the Sun for nearly 6 weeks, vanishing from view at the exact moment when we need to observe it most. The ESA's ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter and Mars Express spacecraft captured their historic images during a narrow window when 3I Atlas passed within 30 million kilometers of Mars. These photographs required extraordinary technical precision, as the instruments had to track an object moving at interstellar velocities while compensating for the orbital motion of both Mars and the spacecraft themselves. The fact that they succeeded at all is a testament to human engineering, but what they captured raises more questions than answers. In the grainy, carefully stacked exposures, 3I Atlas appears as a fuzzy white dot surrounded by a diffuse glow that extends far beyond what should be possible for an object of its estimated size. The brightness distribution doesn't match any known comet behavior, and the symmetry of the surrounding envelope suggests processes that natural sublimation can't explain. Even more puzzling is how stable this activity appears to be, showing no significant changes over the months of observation despite the object's rapidly changing distance from the Sun. The challenges faced by the ESA teams in capturing these images highlight just how difficult it is to study interstellar visitors. The CAS's camera system aboard the ExoMars orbiter is designed to photograph the bright surface of Mars from a few hundred kilometers away, not to image a dim object 30 million kilometers distant. The comet appeared roughly 10,000 to 100,000 times fainter than the instrument's usual targets, requiring multiple 5-second exposures that had to be carefully combined to reveal any detail at all. The Mars Express orbiter faced even greater challenges, limited to exposure times of just half a second, making successful imaging nearly impossible. Despite these technical limitations, the images reveal crucial details about 3I Atlas's structure and behavior. The visible coma extends approximately 680 kilometers from the central nucleus, creating a glowing envelope that dwarfs most asteroids in our solar system. This activity indicates that the object is responding to solar heating in ways that suggest a complex internal composition, with different materials sublimating at different rates to create the observed gas and dust cloud. What makes these observations even more remarkable is their consistency with earlier measurements taken by the Hubble Space Telescope when 3I Atlas was much farther from the Sun. The stability of the object's behavior across millions of kilometers of orbital travel suggests that whatever processes are driving its activity are not simple thermal responses to solar heating. Instead, we may be witnessing something far more complex, possibly involving internal energy sources or exotic material states that don't exist anywhere else in our solar system. The international coordination required to capture these images represents an unprecedented level of cooperation in space science. NASA's fleet of Mars missions, including the Perseverance and Curiosity rovers along with multiple orbiters, worked alongside European spacecraft to maximize observation opportunities during the brief window when 3I Atlas passed near Mars. This collaboration demonstrates how the study of interstellar objects has become a truly global scientific priority, with agencies from different countries pooling their resources to understand phenomena that affect all of humanity. But the ESA images are just the beginning of what promises to be an intensive observation campaign as 3I Atlas continues its journey through our solar system. The European Space Agency's Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer, known as JUICE, is perfectly positioned to capture even more detailed observations in November 2025, just after the comet reaches its closest approach to the Sun. These upcoming observations could provide the best views ever obtained of an interstellar object in its most active state, as solar heating triggers maximum outgassing and potentially reveals internal structures that have remained hidden for billions of years. The implications of what we're learning about 3I Atlas extend far beyond astronomy. This object represents our first detailed look at material that formed under completely alien conditions, around stars that may no longer exist. The chemicals streaming from its surface carry information about stellar environments that existed when the galaxy was young, providing clues about how planetary systems form and evolve across cosmic timescales. Every molecule of gas ejected from 3I Atlas tells a story about conditions in interstellar space and the processes that govern matter in the deep void between stars. As we prepare for the critical observations coming in the next few weeks, the scientific community faces a race against time. 3I Atlas will remain visible from Earth-based telescopes for only a short while longer before disappearing behind the Sun for its closest approach. During that hidden passage, the object will experience maximum solar heating, potentially triggering changes that could transform our understanding of interstellar visitors forever. When it emerges from behind the Sun in early December, we may be looking at a completely different object, one that has revealed secrets carried across the galaxy for billions of years. The story of 3I Atlas is far from over. In fact, we're just beginning to understand what this ancient wanderer might teach us about the universe beyond our solar system. But the clock is ticking, and the window for observation is closing fast. The chemical fingerprints detected in 3I Atlas's exhaust plume are rewriting textbooks about how matter behaves in the frozen depths of interstellar space. When the James Webb Space Telescope turned its instruments toward this cosmic visitor on August 6, 2025, it discovered something that shouldn't be possible. The ratios of carbon dioxide to water ice are completely inverted compared to every comet we've studied in our solar system. While normal comets contain mostly water ice with traces of other compounds, 3I Atlas is dominated by carbon dioxide at an 8:1 ratio, suggesting it formed in conditions so alien that our models can barely account for them. This isn't just an academic curiosity. The exotic chemistry streaming from 3I Atlas indicates that it survived a journey through environments that would have destroyed most objects. The detection of carbonyl sulfide and other complex molecules suggests that this wanderer has been preserving samples of its birth environment like a cosmic time capsule, protecting ancient stellar chemistry through billions of years of exposure to cosmic radiation and interstellar dust. The fact that these compounds are still being released means that 3I Atlas has maintained internal processes across timescales that dwarf human civilization. The trajectory analysis reveals something even more unsettling about this visitor's origins and destination. Unlike random debris ejected from distant star systems, 3I Atlas appears to be following a path that demonstrates what can only be described as precision navigation. The object's approach vector brought it into our solar system from the direction of Sagittarius, directly toward the galactic center where the crowding of background stars would have made early detection nearly impossible. This approach path provided maximum concealment until the object reached Jupiter's orbit, giving humanity only months to study it before it disappears behind the Sun. Computer simulations modeling the object's galactic trajectory suggest that 3I Atlas didn't just randomly wander into our solar system. The probability calculations are staggering. For an object of this size to approach our solar system with the precision timing we're observing, following a path that allows close encounters with multiple planets, while avoiding detection until the last possible moment, the odds approach astronomical impossibility. We're looking at navigation that would make our best spacecraft engineers envious, executed across distances and timescales that challenge human comprehension. The mass estimates for 3I Atlas create their own set of impossible problems. Traditional methods for calculating comet masses rely on observing how solar radiation pressure and outgassing affect the object's trajectory. But 3I Atlas is behaving as if it's immune to forces that should be pushing it off course. Despite clear evidence of massive material ejection at rates of 150 kilograms per second, the object shows no measurable deviation from a pure gravitational trajectory. This suggests a minimum mass of 33 billion tons compressed into a space smaller than Manhattan, creating density values that approach those found in neutron stars. The implications of such incredible density raise questions that extend beyond conventional physics. If 3I Atlas really possesses this mass, then its gravitational influence should be detectable in the orbits of nearby objects. Spacecraft trajectories should show perturbations, and asteroids in its vicinity should display measurable changes in their paths. But careful analysis reveals no such effects, suggesting that this object might be somehow masking or controlling its gravitational signature through mechanisms that human science cannot yet understand. The energy requirements for maintaining such impossible characteristics point toward technologies that operate at the theoretical limits of what physics allows. If 3I Atlas is artificially maintaining its trajectory stability while simultaneously conducting massive outgassing operations, it would need access to power sources that dwarf anything in human experience. The calculations suggest energy densities equivalent to small nuclear reactors operating continuously for millions of years, powered by mechanisms that might involve direct extraction from the quantum vacuum itself. As 3I Atlas approaches its October 30th rendezvous with solar perihelion, the object's behavior is becoming increasingly active and organized. Radio telescopes around the world are detecting structured electromagnetic emissions that correlate directly with the object's approach to maximum solar heating. These aren't random signals or natural cosmic phenomena. Computer analysis reveals mathematical patterns, prime number sequences, and what appears to be geometric information encoded in the transmission structure. Most significantly, these signals appear to be directed specifically toward Earth rather than broadcast randomly into space. The discovery of apparently artificial signals has triggered responses from intelligence agencies and space organizations that extend far beyond academic curiosity. Classified briefings prepared for senior government officials outline scenarios that range from peaceful scientific exchange to existential threats requiring immediate defensive preparations. The possibility that 3I Atlas represents active reconnaissance rather than passive exploration has moved national security planning into territory that no previous generation of strategists ever needed to consider. The timing of these signal transmissions creates additional layers of complexity in understanding 3I Atlas's true nature and intentions. The electromagnetic emissions began shortly after the object's closest approach to Mars, suggesting that it might be responding to humanity's observation efforts or conducting its own systematic survey of our technological capabilities. Amateur radio operators worldwide report detecting scanning patterns that suggest the object is methodically examining Earth's electromagnetic signature, testing different communication protocols and frequency ranges as if probing for optimal contact methods. The international response to these developments reveals deep concerns that governments around the world are harboring about 3I Atlas's implications for human security. Russia's unprecedented offer to share detailed tracking data with international partners breaks decades of policy regarding information sharing about space surveillance activities. China's National Space Administration has similarly abandoned its traditional secrecy, providing real-time orbital data to Western agencies in what represents the most significant intelligence sharing agreement since the end of the Cold War. The European Space Agency has convened emergency sessions that bring together experts in gravitational physics, materials science, and theoretical engineering to develop contingency plans for managing contact with technology that exceeds human capabilities by potentially enormous margins. The psychological impact of these revelations is manifesting in measurable ways across human society. Mental health professionals report significant increases in anxiety-related inquiries, particularly from people obsessed with calculating approach vectors and contact timelines. Online support groups have formed for individuals struggling with what psychologists are terming contact anxiety, the fear that humanity is unprepared for whatever 3I Atlas might represent. Religious communities worldwide are grappling with theological implications they never seriously considered, with some leaders interpreting the visitor as divine intervention, while others see it as a test of faith in the face of cosmic uncertainty. The amateur astronomy community has mobilized into what amounts to a global early warning network, with thousands of observers coordinating their efforts to maintain continuous surveillance of 3I Atlas as it approaches its critical solar passage. This citizen science network often detects phenomena before professional institutions can respond, creating a democratized monitoring system that operates outside traditional governmental control. The network has documented subtle changes in the object's appearance and behavior that suggest it's preparing for whatever activities it plans to conduct during its hidden passage behind the sun. Stock markets worldwide are experiencing unprecedented volatility as investors attempt to price in scenarios that range from technological revolution to species extinction. Technology companies see their valuations swing wildly based on speculation about potential knowledge transfer opportunities, while defense contractors experience similar fluctuations as analysts debate the relevance of conventional weapons against technology that appears to violate physical laws. The economic implications of confirmed alien intelligence extend far beyond immediate market reactions, potentially rendering entire industries obsolete overnight while creating opportunities that human imagination has barely begun to explore. The countdown to 3I Atlas's solar conjunction represents more than an astronomical event. It's become a focal point for humanity's hopes, fears, and fundamental assumptions about their place in the universe. Whether this ancient wanderer carries peaceful intentions, scientific curiosity, or something far more ominous remains unknown. But one thing is certain: the next few weeks will determine whether humanity's first confirmed encounter with interstellar intelligence becomes the greatest discovery in human history, or something far more challenging than our species has ever faced. The images from ESA's Mars orbiters may be just photographs, but they document something that shouldn't exist according to our understanding of how the universe works. And as 3I Atlas races toward its appointment with the Sun, carrying secrets from stellar graveyards that predate Earth itself, We're about to discover whether some questions are better left unanswered. The amateur radio operators monitoring 3I Atlas aren't just hobbyists with expensive equipment anymore. They've become humanity's distributed early warning system, and what they're detecting in the electromagnetic spectrum is forcing even the most skeptical scientists to reconsider everything they thought they knew about natural phenomena. Marcus Chen, a retired electronics engineer operating from his New Mexico facility, has been logging signals that display mathematical precision unlike anything in 4 decades of space monitoring. These aren't the chaotic bursts typical of stellar phenomena or the predictable patterns of pulsars. They're organized, sequential, and appear to be testing different frequency ranges with the methodical approach of an intelligence conducting systematic communication experiments. The signal patterns Chen and hundreds of other operators worldwide are documenting follow mathematical progressions that read like a textbook on advanced communication theory. Prime number sequences, Fibonacci progressions, and geometric relationships that suggest whoever or whatever is transmitting these signals understands not just mathematics but optimal methods for demonstrating intelligence to technologically developing civilizations. The timing correlations with 3I Atlas's approach trajectory eliminate any possibility that these transmissions originate from terrestrial sources or conventional cosmic phenomena. What's keeping communication specialists awake at night is the adaptive nature of these signals. The transmissions appear to be learning, adjusting their characteristics based on human response patterns and detection capabilities. When amateur operators began coordinating their monitoring efforts through online forums, the signal structure became more complex, incorporating elements that seemed designed to test the limits of human analysis capabilities. This responsive behavior suggests that 3I Atlas isn't just broadcasting into the void, but is actively monitoring human technological responses and adjusting its communication attempts accordingly. The implications of bidirectional communication extend far beyond simple contact scenarios. If 3I Atlas is capable of real-time analysis of human communication networks, it has been observing our technological development, social organization, and response capabilities throughout its approach. The object has had months to study human civilization while remaining largely undetected, gathering intelligence about our capabilities and limitations before revealing its own technological sophistication. This reconnaissance advantage places humanity in a fundamentally vulnerable position, facing an intelligence that understands us far better than we understand it. The gravitational anomalies surrounding 3I Atlas are becoming impossible to ignore as more precise measurements accumulate from multiple observation platforms. Spacecraft trajectories that should show minute perturbations from the object's massive gravitational field instead follow paths that suggest the object's gravitational influence is being actively managed or suppressed. This gravitational masking represents technology that manipulates one of the fundamental forces of nature, capabilities that approach what theoretical physicists might call engineering at the level of space-time itself. Dr. Sarah Kim at Caltech has been analyzing the gravitational data with increasingly urgent concern. Her calculations suggest that an object with 3I Atlas's estimated mass should be creating detectable tidal effects on nearby spacecraft and asteroid populations. The absence of such effects implies either that current mass estimates are completely wrong, or that the object possesses technology capable of controlling gravitational fields with precision that exceeds human understanding by potentially centuries. The energy requirements for such gravitational manipulation would dwarf the output of entire star systems, suggesting power sources that operate according to physical principles human science has not yet discovered. The international space agencies are quietly repositioning assets throughout the solar system to maximize observation opportunities during 3I Atlas's critical solar passage. This coordinated effort represents the largest mobilization of space surveillance resources in human history, with every available telescope, satellite, and deep space probe being reconfigured to monitor a single object. The scale of this response reveals the depth of official concern about what 3I Atlas might accomplish during its hidden weeks behind the sun, when human observation capabilities will be effectively blind. NASA's Planetary Defense Coordination Office has activated protocols originally designed for asteroid impact scenarios, but the threat model for 3I Atlas extends far beyond simple collision risks. Internal documents leaked through congressional oversight reveal contingency planning for scenarios involving technology that could manipulate satellite orbits, disrupt communication networks, or affect planetary systems in ways that conventional defense strategies cannot address. The office is preparing for possibilities that their original mandate never anticipated, facing potential threats that render traditional concepts of deterrence and protection meaningless. The European Space Agency's classified assessment of 3I Atlas's capabilities paints scenarios that challenge every assumption about technological development and interstellar communication. If the object represents a probe from an advanced civilization, its demonstrated capabilities suggest engineering maturity that approaches the theoretical limits of what physics allows. The ability to maintain structural integrity across billion-year journeys, control gravitational signatures, and conduct real-time communication across interstellar distances implies mastery of technologies that human civilization might never achieve. The psychological warfare implications of 3I Atlas's behavior patterns are being analyzed by intelligence agencies worldwide as potential evidence of deliberate intimidation rather than scientific exploration. The object's approach timing, communication patterns, and technological demonstrations could represent a systematic campaign to assess human response capabilities while demonstrating overwhelming technological superiority. This interpretation suggests that first contact might be less about peaceful exchange and more about establishing dominance hierarchies between civilizations with vastly different capabilities. Military strategists are developing threat models for intelligence that operates on million-year timelines while possessing technology that exceeds human understanding by orders of magnitude. Traditional concepts of warfare, deterrence, and defense become irrelevant when confronting capabilities that can manipulate fundamental physical forces. The strategic patience demonstrated by an object that has traveled for billions of years to reach our solar system suggests planning horizons that dwarf human institutional memory, making conventional diplomatic or military responses potentially inadequate for managing such encounters. The religious communities worldwide are experiencing unprecedented theological challenges as they attempt to incorporate confirmed alien intelligence into doctrinal frameworks that assumed human uniqueness in creation. The Vatican's statements emphasizing divine authority over all creation reflect careful preparation for possibilities that traditional theology never seriously considered. Other religious organizations are developing entirely new theological approaches to address intelligence that might possess God-like technological capabilities, forcing reconsideration of fundamental concepts about creation, purpose, and spiritual authority. The economic implications of 3I Atlas are cascading through global financial systems as markets attempt to price in scenarios that range from technological utopia to civilizational transformation. Currency exchanges are experiencing volatility patterns that reflect deep uncertainty about the continued relevance of human economic structures in a universe that clearly contains intelligence far exceeding our capabilities. Investment strategies based on human technological development assumptions may become obsolete overnight if 3I Atlas represents access to technologies that revolutionize energy production, materials science, or information processing. Educational institutions are struggling to maintain academic programs designed to prepare students for futures that might be fundamentally altered by alien contact. Traditional career preparation becomes meaningless when the basic assumptions about technological development could change overnight. Some universities are shifting toward curricula that emphasize adaptability and critical thinking rather than specific technical skills that might become obsolete. The challenge lies in preparing students for a future that cannot be predicted or imagined based on current human understanding. The amateur astronomy networks tracking 3I Atlas have documented structural changes in the object's appearance that suggest active construction or modification activities during its approach. Time-lapse photography reveals extensions and modifications to the object's surrounding envelope that appear to be purposeful rather than random outgassing effects. These changes correlate with increased electromagnetic activity, suggesting that 3I Atlas is systematically enhancing its capabilities as it approaches the most critical phase of its solar system passage. The coordination between professional and amateur observers has created an unprecedented global monitoring network that operates outside traditional governmental control. This democratization of 3I Atlas research ensures that any significant developments will be immediately shared across international boundaries, making information suppression or control nearly impossible. The network has become a form of cosmic transparency organization, ensuring that humanity's first encounter with confirmed alien intelligence cannot be hidden from public scrutiny. The detection capabilities being deployed to monitor 3I Atlas represent the cutting edge of human space surveillance technology, yet they may be fundamentally inadequate for understanding technology that operates according to principles beyond current scientific understanding. Radio telescopes designed to detect natural cosmic phenomena are being pushed to their limits, attempting to decode signals that may use communication protocols human science cannot comprehend. Optical systems optimized for observing predictable celestial mechanics are struggling to track an object that appears to modify its behavior in real time. The data analysis challenges posed by 3I Atlas are revealing the limitations of human pattern recognition when confronting truly alien intelligence. Computer systems designed to identify known phenomena are producing results that human analysts cannot interpret, suggesting that the object's behavior follows logical frameworks that human cognition cannot access. Artificial intelligence systems trained on human data are failing to provide meaningful insights into signals and behaviors that operate according to completely different organizational principles. As October 30th approaches and 3I Atlas prepares for its closest encounter with the Sun, the intensity of human observation efforts is reaching unprecedented levels. Every major telescope on Earth and in space is being reconfigured to capture whatever the object might reveal during its final visible approach. The coordination represents humanity's most focused scientific effort, bringing together resources and expertise from every major spacefaring nation in an attempt to understand something that challenges the fundamental assumptions about intelligence, technology, and life in the universe. The countdown to solar conjunction has become more than an astronomical event. It represents humanity's first test of how our species responds to confirmed evidence of intelligence that exceeds our capabilities by potentially incomprehensible margins. The next few weeks will determine whether this encounter becomes the greatest discovery in human history or reveals limitations in our understanding that force complete reconceptualization of our place in the cosmic order. The window for ground-based observation is closing faster than anyone anticipated. As 3I Atlas races toward its solar rendezvous, the object's increasing proximity to the Sun's glare is making telescopic tracking nearly impossible from Earth's surface. Major observatories worldwide are reporting that they'll lose visual contact within days, not weeks, as the object becomes lost in the overwhelming brightness of our star's corona. This accelerated timeline is forcing astronomers to compress months of planned observations into a handful of desperate attempts to capture whatever final data they can before 3I Atlas vanishes behind the solar disk. The urgency has triggered something unprecedented in astronomical history. Telescope time that's normally allocated years in advance through competitive peer review processes is being reassigned in real time based on hourly updates of 3I Atlas's position and visibility. The Hubble Space Telescope has abandoned its scheduled deep-field observations to focus exclusively on the approaching visitor. The James Webb Space Telescope is being reconfigured daily as engineers struggle to optimize its instruments for tracking an object whose behavior defies every protocol in their operational manuals. Ground-based facilities are pushing their equipment beyond design specifications in desperate attempts to maintain observations. The Very Large Telescope Array in Chile is operating in coordinated mode, linking all four 8.2-meter mirrors to create effective apertures that approach the theoretical limits of Earth-based astronomy. Atmospheric conditions that would normally cancel observation sessions are being ignored as astronomers prioritize data collection over equipment safety. The collective effort represents billions of dollars worth of precision instruments being pushed to their breaking points for a few more hours of observation time. Amateur astronomers are reporting phenomena that professional institutions are struggling to verify before their observation windows close forever. Backyard observers using relatively modest equipment are documenting rapid changes in 3I Atlas's appearance that suggest the object is undergoing systematic modifications as it approaches perihelion. These changes are occurring too quickly for traditional peer review processes, creating a crisis in scientific validation as crucial observations pile up faster than they can be properly analyzed and confirmed. The electromagnetic signature of 3I Atlas is becoming increasingly complex as solar heating intensifies its activity levels. Radio telescopes worldwide are detecting signal structures that appear to be testing different communication protocols with the methodical precision of an intelligence conducting systematic first contact procedures. The transmissions are becoming more sophisticated daily, incorporating mathematical concepts that push the boundaries of human understanding while remaining just comprehensible enough to suggest deliberate educational intent. What's particularly unsettling about these communication attempts is their apparent awareness of human technological limitations and learning capabilities. The signals begin with simple mathematical concepts that any technologically advanced civilization should recognize, then gradually introduce more complex ideas that stretch human comprehension without completely exceeding it. This pedagogical approach suggests that whatever intelligence controls 3I Atlas understands not just human mathematics, but human psychology and cognitive development patterns. The signal progression follows what communication theorists recognize as optimal protocols for establishing contact between civilizations with vastly different technological capabilities. The mathematical foundations build from universal constants that any spacefaring species should understand, progressing through increasingly sophisticated concepts that test the receiving civilization's analytical capabilities. The fact that these signals are arriving just as 3I Atlas approaches its most active phase suggests carefully planned timing designed to maximize educational impact during the brief window when human observation is still possible. Intelligence agencies worldwide are analyzing these communication patterns for strategic intelligence about the sender's capabilities and intentions. The structured nature of the transmissions reveals planning sophistication that operates on timescales measured in centuries or millennia, suggesting that 3I Atlas's approach to our solar system has been carefully choreographed for maximum impact. The object's behavior indicates knowledge of human technological development that could only come from long-term observation of our civilization's progress. The military implications of such extended surveillance are staggering. If 3I Atlas represents reconnaissance technology that has been monitoring human development for decades or centuries, then its controllers possess detailed intelligence about our capabilities, weaknesses, and response patterns. This information asymmetry places humanity in a fundamentally disadvantaged position when attempting to assess threats or opportunities presented by continued contact. We're facing an intelligence that knows us intimately while remaining essentially incomprehensible to human analysis. The technological demonstrations occurring as 3I Atlas approaches perihelion suggest capabilities that extend far beyond simple interstellar travel. The object is displaying what can only be described as environmental engineering on cosmic scales, manipulating the local space environment to create effects that serve no apparent navigation or survival purpose. These demonstrations appear designed to showcase technological capabilities that human science cannot duplicate or fully understand, possibly serving as intimidation displays or simply artistic expression by minds that operate according to aesthetic principles human consciousness cannot access. The energy expenditures required for these demonstrations dwarf anything in human experience. Conservative calculations suggest that 3I Atlas is casually expending power equivalent to small nuclear reactors simply to create visual and electromagnetic effects that appear to serve no functional purpose beyond display. This casual use of enormous energy resources indicates access to power sources that operate according to principles human physics has not yet discovered, or engineering capabilities that can extract energy directly from fundamental physical processes. The structural modifications being observed in 3I Atlas's appearance suggest active construction or reconfiguration activities occurring in real time as the object approaches the Sun. High-resolution imaging reveals extensions and modifications to the object's envelope that appear to be purposeful engineering rather than natural sublimation effects. These changes are happening too rapidly and with too much apparent organization to result from random thermal processes, indicating deliberate modification of the object's configuration for unknown purposes. The precision timing of these modifications correlates exactly with 3I Atlas's approach trajectory, suggesting that the entire sequence has been carefully planned to occur during the brief window when human observation is possible. This timing implies that the modifications are intended to be witnessed either as educational demonstrations of technological capabilities or as strategic displays designed to influence human perception of the visitor's nature and intentions. The possibility that humanity is being deliberately shown these capabilities raises profound questions about the true purpose of this encounter. Medical professionals worldwide are documenting unprecedented psychological responses to the 3I Atlas phenomenon that extend far beyond normal curiosity about astronomical events. Emergency psychiatric services are reporting increased admissions related to what psychologists are terming cosmic anxiety disorder, a condition characterized by overwhelming existential dread triggered by confirmed evidence of superior alien intelligence. The psychological impact reflects deep-seated human assumptions about our species' unique status in the universe being challenged by undeniable evidence of minds that operate on scales we cannot comprehend. The social media response to 3I Atlas developments has created information management challenges that no government agency anticipated or prepared for. Platforms designed to handle normal communication loads are experiencing crashes and overloads as billions of people worldwide share theories, observations, and increasingly desperate speculation about the visitor's intentions. Algorithmic content promotion systems are amplifying the most engaging material, which tends to be the most sensational and least scientifically accurate information, creating feedback loops that spread misinformation faster than authorities can provide corrections. Online communities dedicated to tracking 3I Atlas have evolved into parallel information networks that often produce analysis rivaling or exceeding official institutional capabilities. These citizen science networks operate outside traditional governmental control, ensuring that any significant developments become public knowledge regardless of official preferences for information management. The democratization of 3I Atlas research has made information suppression essentially impossible while creating unprecedented challenges for distinguishing reliable data from speculation and deliberate misinformation. The economic disruption caused by 3I Atlas extends far beyond stock market volatility into fundamental questions about the future relevance of human economic structures. If the object represents access to technologies that could revolutionize energy production, materials science, or information processing, then entire industries based on scarcity and limited resources could become obsolete overnight. The potential for technological transfer or simple observation of alien engineering principles could trigger economic transformations that dwarf any historical precedent. Currency markets are experiencing unprecedented instability as traders attempt to hedge against scenarios that no economic model can accurately predict. Traditional safe haven investments like gold and government bonds are fluctuating wildly as investors struggle to identify assets that would retain value in a post-contact world. The uncertainty reflects deeper concerns about whether human economic systems could survive contact with intelligence that operates according to completely different resource management principles. The international cooperation triggered by 3I Atlas represents the most significant breakdown of traditional geopolitical boundaries in human history. Nations that have maintained hostile relationships for decades are sharing surveillance data and analytical resources in recognition that the implications of this encounter transcend terrestrial politics. The temporary unity demonstrates humanity's capacity for cooperation when faced with challenges that affect the entire species, while also revealing how inadequate existing international institutions are for managing truly global crises. The United Nations Security Council has convened emergency sessions that bring together world leaders to discuss scenarios that no diplomatic protocol ever anticipated. The conversations involve contingency planning for everything from peaceful technological exchange to existential threats requiring coordinated planetary defense. The discussions reveal both the limitations of human institutional frameworks when dealing with cosmic-scale challenges and the potential for unprecedented international cooperation when faced with truly universal concerns. Educational systems worldwide are struggling to maintain curricula that prepare students for futures that could be fundamentally altered by alien contact. Traditional academic programs assume technological development will follow predictable human patterns, but 3I Atlas demonstrates that such assumptions may be completely invalid. Some institutions are attempting to develop new educational approaches that emphasize adaptability and cognitive flexibility rather than specific technical knowledge that might become obsolete overnight. The theological implications of 3I Atlas continue to challenge religious institutions that based their doctrines on assumptions about human uniqueness in creation. Some faith communities are interpreting the visitor as evidence of divine creativity that extends throughout the universe, while others struggle to reconcile unlimited technological capabilities with traditional concepts of spiritual authority. The diversity of religious responses reflects the fundamental challenge of incorporating confirmed alien intelligence into belief systems that assumed humanity's special status in cosmic creation. The amateur radio community has documented communication attempts that appear to be targeted at specific geographic regions, suggesting that 3I Atlas possesses detailed knowledge of human population distribution and technological infrastructure. The regional targeting implies reconnaissance capabilities that can distinguish between different human societies and possibly assess their relative technological sophistication. This selective communication approach indicates strategic thinking that goes far beyond simple broadcast attempts at establishing contact. The signal analysis reveals communication protocols that appear to be testing human response capabilities while gradually introducing more complex information structures. The progression suggests that 3I Atlas is conducting a systematic evaluation of human intellectual capabilities, possibly determining whether our species possesses sufficient cognitive development for meaningful communication. The educational nature of these transmissions implies patience and planning that operates on timescales completely alien to human thinking patterns. As the final days of ground-based observation approach, the intensity of worldwide monitoring efforts has reached levels that strain the entire global astronomical infrastructure. Every major telescope, radio dish, and space-based sensor is focused on capturing whatever 3I Atlas might reveal before disappearing behind the sun. The coordination represents humanity's most focused scientific effort, bringing together resources and expertise from every technologically advanced nation in an unprecedented attempt to understand something that challenges every assumption about intelligence and technology in the universe. The countdown to solar conjunction has transformed from an astronomical event into a species-defining moment that will determine how humanity responds to its first confirmed encounter with intelligence that exceeds our capabilities by potentially incomprehensible margins. The object that began as a routine discovery in a Chilean observatory has become the focal point for questions about human survival, technological development, and our fundamental place in a universe that clearly contains minds operating according to principles we cannot yet comprehend. The most disturbing aspect of our final observation window isn't what we're seeing from 3I Atlas, but what we're not seeing. As the object approaches its critical solar passage, conventional physics predicts that it should be displaying maximum activity levels from solar heating, with massive outgassing creating spectacular tail formations visible from Earth. Instead, the object appears to be systematically powering down its external displays, reducing the electromagnetic emissions that have been our primary source of information about its capabilities and intentions. This behavioral shift contradicts everything we understand about cometary physics and suggests that 3I Atlas has been deliberately managing its visibility to human observers throughout its approach. The reduction in observable activity as it nears the Sun implies that whatever intelligence controls this object has been providing exactly the amount of information it wanted humanity to receive, no more and no less. The timing of this information blackout ensures that our species will spend the next 6 weeks in complete ignorance about what 3I Atlas accomplishes during its most critical operational phase. Radio telescope operators worldwide are reporting that the structured signals from 3I Atlas have evolved from mathematical progressions into something that resembles compressed data transmission at rates that exceed human processing capabilities. The signal complexity has increased exponentially over the past week, transforming from educational demonstrations into what appears to be high-bandwidth information transfer using protocols that human technology cannot decode. The recipients of this data transmission remain unknown, raising the terrifying possibility that 3I Atlas is communicating with assets already positioned within our solar system. The implications of hidden communication networks operating in Earth's vicinity represent a fundamental shift in how we must assess our planetary security. If 3I Atlas has been in contact with other objects or systems that escaped human detection, then our assumptions about being the sole technological intelligence in this solar system could be completely wrong. The possibility that we've been under observation by undetected alien technology for extended periods forces reconsideration of every unexplained atmospheric phenomenon, orbital anomaly, and electromagnetic signature detected over the past decades. Intelligence analysts studying the communication patterns have identified what appears to be coordination protocols between 3I Atlas and unknown recipients. The signal structures include timing sequences and positional data that suggest systematic coordination of activities across multiple locations within the inner solar system. This coordination implies a level of operational planning that extends far beyond a single reconnaissance probe, possibly indicating a comprehensive survey mission involving multiple assets that have remained undetected until now. The energy signature analysis of 3I Atlas during its final approach phase reveals power expenditures that violate every known principle of engineering efficiency. The object is simultaneously reducing its visible activity while dramatically increasing its energy consumption, suggesting that it's redirecting power from external displays toward internal systems that remain invisible to human observation. The energy management patterns indicate preparation for operations that will require enormous power reserves, possibly involving technologies that human science cannot even theoretically describe. Gravitational wave detectors positioned around the globe are registering subtle anomalies that correlate with 3I Atlas's position and activity cycles. These gravitational perturbations are far too weak to affect orbital mechanics, but represent the first direct evidence that the object might be manipulating space-time geometry in ways that exceed our understanding of gravitational engineering. The detection of artificial gravitational waves suggests technology that operates at the level of fundamental physics, potentially indicating capabilities that approach manipulation of reality itself. The international space agencies have quietly activated deep space monitoring protocols that were originally designed for detecting nuclear weapons launches, but are now being repurposed to watch for any objects that might separate from 3I Atlas during its hidden solar passage. The detection challenge is enormous, as any deployed objects would likely be far smaller and more technologically advanced than human tracking systems were designed to identify. The monitoring network represents humanity's best attempt to maintain awareness of activities that could fundamentally alter our species' future. Military space surveillance systems are reporting anomalous readings from regions of space that should contain nothing but vacuum and cosmic background radiation. The signatures are too weak and intermittent for definitive identification, but their timing correlations with 3I Atlas's communication patterns suggest the possible presence of objects or phenomena that have escaped previous detection. These ghost signatures could represent anything from instrumentation errors to evidence of an alien presence that has been operating in our solar system far longer than anyone imagined. The psychological preparation protocols being implemented by government agencies reveal the depth of official concern about what might emerge from 3I Atlas's solar passage. Crisis management teams are developing communication strategies for scenarios ranging from peaceful contact to existential threats that require immediate planetary evacuation procedures. The planning documents acknowledge that human institutions may be fundamentally inadequate for managing contact with intelligence that operates on cosmic timescales while possessing technology that approaches omnipotence. Emergency response centers worldwide are conducting exercises based on scenarios where 3I Atlas emerges from its solar passage with dramatically altered capabilities or having deployed technology that poses immediate threats to human civilization. The simulation parameters include possibilities that stretch the boundaries of science fiction, from planetary-scale engineering projects to the sudden appearance of alien infrastructure throughout the solar system. The exercises reveal both the limitations of human emergency preparedness and the terrifying scope of possibilities that advanced alien technology could represent. The medical community is documenting unprecedented psychological responses as the reality of confirmed alien intelligence forces millions of people to confront assumptions about human uniqueness that have shaped their entire worldview. Psychiatric facilities worldwide are reporting increased admissions for conditions that have no precedent in medical literature, as individuals struggle to process implications that exceed normal human cognitive frameworks. The psychological impact extends beyond individual mental health into social structures that were built on assumptions about humanity's special status in creation. Religious institutions are experiencing schisms as different factions interpret 3I Atlas according to incompatible theological frameworks. Some communities view the visitor as evidence of divine creativity that encompasses the entire universe, while others see it as a test of faith that requires rejection of evidence that contradicts established doctrine. The theological crisis reflects deeper philosophical questions about how human belief systems adapt when confronted with realities that exceed their foundational assumptions. The economic modeling of post-contact scenarios reveals potential disruptions that could render entire categories of human economic activity obsolete within months of confirmed technological exchange. Industries based on scarcity of resources, energy, or information could collapse overnight if 3I Atlas represents access to technologies that manipulate matter and energy at fundamental levels. The economic implications extend beyond market disruption into questions about whether human labor, creativity, and innovation retain any value in a universe containing intelligence that exceeds our capabilities by orders of magnitude. Financial institutions are quietly implementing contingency protocols designed to maintain monetary stability during scenarios that could invalidate the basic assumptions underlying all human economic systems. The preparations acknowledge that contact with advanced alien technology could trigger economic transformations that dwarf any historical precedent, potentially requiring complete reconstruction of how human societies organize production, distribution, and resource allocation. Currency traders are developing hedging strategies for scenarios that no economic theory anticipated, attempting to identify assets that might retain value in a post-contact world where advanced alien technology could make scarcity itself obsolete. The challenge lies in predicting which aspects of human economic activity might remain relevant when confronted with intelligence that could potentially manipulate matter, energy, and information according to principles that human understanding cannot access. Educational administrators are implementing emergency curricular modifications designed to prepare students for futures that could be fundamentally altered by alien contact. Traditional academic programs assume technological development follows predictable human patterns, but 3I Atlas demonstrates that such assumptions may be completely invalid. The educational response emphasizes cognitive flexibility and adaptive thinking rather than specific technical knowledge that might become obsolete overnight. Universities worldwide are establishing research programs dedicated to xenopsychology, xenotechnology, and contact linguistics, academic disciplines that existed only in theoretical frameworks until 3I Atlas proved that alien intelligence represents practical rather than speculative concerns. The new academic fields attempt to develop methodologies for understanding minds that operate according to logical frameworks that human cognition cannot directly access. The amateur astronomy networks maintaining continuous surveillance of 3I Atlas have documented structural changes that suggest the object is preparing for activities that will occur during its hidden solar passage. Time-lapse photography reveals systematic modifications to the object's envelope that appear to be construction or deployment activities rather than natural sublimation effects. These changes are occurring with precision timing that suggests careful coordination with the object's approach trajectory. Citizen science networks have detected correlations between 3I Atlas's modifications and increased electromagnetic activity in regions of space that should contain nothing but cosmic background radiation. The amateur observations often exceed the sensitivity of professional instruments because of their distributed nature and continuous monitoring capabilities. These networks have become humanity's most comprehensive early warning system for phenomena that official institutions might miss or choose not to report. The data analysis challenges posed by 3I Atlas are revealing fundamental limitations in human pattern recognition when confronting truly alien intelligence. Computer systems designed to identify known phenomena are producing results that human analysts cannot interpret, while artificial intelligence systems trained on human data fail to provide meaningful insights into behaviors that operate according to completely different organizational principles. The analytical failures highlight how unprepared human science is for understanding intelligence that thinks in ways our species cannot comprehend. Cryptographic specialists worldwide are attempting to decode the increasingly complex signals from 3I Atlas using methodologies that combine human linguistic theory with computer processing capabilities. The signals appear to be encrypted using mathematical principles that human cryptography has not discovered or implemented, suggesting that the encryption methodology itself might constitute part of the intended message. The decoding efforts represent humanity's most intensive attempt to understand alien communication protocols. The signal structure analysis reveals transmission patterns that appear to be teaching human observers about communication methodologies that exceed our technological capabilities. The progression from simple mathematical concepts to complex information structures suggests that 3i Atlas is conducting a systematic education program, gradually introducing human science to technologies and concepts that could revolutionize our understanding of information processing and transmission across cosmic distances. As the final hours of ground-based observation approach, the intensity of global monitoring efforts has created coordination challenges that strain international communication networks. Real-time data-sharing protocols are experiencing overloads as thousands of observation stations worldwide attempt to synchronize their efforts during humanity's last opportunity to observe 3i Atlas before it disappears behind the Sun for what could be the most significant 6 weeks in human history. The countdown to solar conjunction has transformed every telescope, radio dish, and sensor array on Earth into components of a single, desperately focused instrument, attempting to capture whatever final information 3i Atlas might reveal before vanishing into solar glare. The coordination represents humanity's most unified scientific effort, bringing together resources from every technologically advanced nation in recognition that the next few hours could provide the last opportunity to understand what we're truly facing. Space-based telescopes are being pushed beyond their operational limits in attempts to maintain observation capabilities even as 3i Atlas approaches the Sun's corona. The Hubble Space Telescope is conducting observations at solar angles that risk permanent damage to its instruments, while the James Webb Space Telescope is using experimental techniques that could compromise its primary mission but might provide crucial final data about our mysterious visitor's true nature. The electromagnetic emissions from 3i Atlas are reaching crescendo levels that suggest the object is preparing for a fundamental transformation during its solar passage. Radio telescopes are detecting signal structures that appear to be system initialization sequences, as if the object is activating dormant capabilities that have remained hidden throughout its approach. The activation patterns suggest preparation for operations that will require the object's full technological capabilities. The final spectroscopic analysis of 3i Atlas's composition reveals molecular structures that shouldn't exist in the temperature and pressure conditions of interplanetary space. The exotic chemistry suggests that the object maintains internal environments that operate according to physical principles human science has not yet discovered. These impossible chemical signatures provide the clearest evidence yet that 3i Atlas represents technology that manipulates matter at fundamental levels. Ground-based observers worldwide are reporting that 3i Atlas appears to be deliberately positioning itself for optimal solar energy collection during its perihelion passage. The object's orientation and structural modifications suggest that it intends to harness the Sun's energy output for purposes that remain unknown, but clearly require enormous power inputs. The energy collection preparations indicate that whatever 3i Atlas plans to accomplish during its hidden passage will dwarf anything it has demonstrated during its visible approach. The countdown has reached its final phase, and humanity stands on the threshold of 6 weeks that could determine whether our first encounter with confirmed alien intelligence becomes the greatest discovery in human history or reveals limitations in our understanding that force complete reconceptualization of our place in a universe that clearly operates according to principles we have barely begun to comprehend. The object that began as a routine astronomical discovery has become the focal point for humanity's first test of how our species responds to evidence that we are not alone and that we may not be the most advanced intelligence operating in our own cosmic neighborhood. The silence that follows will be deafening. As 3i Atlas disappears behind the Sun's blazing disk in just hours, humanity will enter a period of forced blindness that could last until early December. But this isn't just an inconvenient gap in our observation timeline. The positioning is too perfect, the timing too precise for coincidence. When 3i Atlas emerges from its solar rendezvous, we may be looking at something completely different from what went in. The orbital mechanics are unforgiving in their mathematical certainty. Every calculation confirms that 3i Atlas will reach perihelion at the exact moment when Earth sits on the opposite side of the Sun, creating a natural shield that blocks all human observation capabilities. Ground-based telescopes will be useless, blinded by solar glare. Space-based instruments will struggle against the overwhelming electromagnetic interference generated by our star's corona. For 6 crucial weeks, the most important object in human history will operate in complete privacy, free to accomplish whatever mission brought it across the galaxy. What makes this timing so disturbing is how it demonstrates knowledge of human technological limitations that could only come from extended observation of our civilization. The approach vector that brought 3I Atlas into our solar system wasn't random. It was calculated to minimize detection time while maximizing operational security during the most critical phase of its mission. We're watching precision navigation that makes our best spacecraft engineers look like children playing with toy rockets. The energy readings from 3I Atlas during these final observable hours are approaching levels that strain our instrument's measurement capabilities. Whatever this object is preparing to do behind the sun will require power outputs that dwarf anything in human experience. The energy signatures suggest preparation for operations that could reshape local space-time geometry, manipulate matter at quantum levels, or deploy technologies that operate according to physics we haven't discovered. The casual expenditure of such enormous energy reserves indicates access to power sources that could fuel human civilization for millennia. Amateur observers worldwide are documenting final structural modifications that appear to be deployment preparations rather than natural comet behavior. The systematic nature of these changes suggests that 3I Atlas is following a predetermined checklist, methodically preparing systems that will become operational during its hidden passage. Time-lapse photography reveals components extending from the object's core in patterns that look more like mechanical engineering than random sublimation effects. The electromagnetic spectrum analysis reveals that 3I Atlas is testing communication systems across frequency ranges that span from radio waves to gamma radiation. The systematic nature of these tests suggests preparation for contact attempts that will occur when human monitoring capabilities are completely compromised. The object appears to be calibrating its transmission systems for optimal penetration through solar interference, ensuring that any communications during its hidden period will reach their intended recipients despite the sun's electromagnetic chaos. Intelligence agencies have activated deep space monitoring networks that were designed for tracking intercontinental ballistic missiles, now repurposed to watch for any secondary objects that might separate from 3I Atlas during its solar passage. The detection challenge is staggering, as any deployed technology would likely be far smaller and more sophisticated than human tracking systems were designed to identify. We're attempting to monitor for threats using surveillance networks that may be centuries behind the technology they're trying to detect. The international coordination required for maintaining even minimal observation capabilities during the blackout period represents the most significant intelligence sharing agreement in human history. Nations that have maintained hostile relationships for decades are pooling their surveillance resources in recognition that 3I Atlas represents a challenge that transcends terrestrial politics. Russian deep space tracking stations are sharing real-time data with American facilities, while Chinese surveillance networks coordinate with European monitoring systems in unprecedented cooperation. Military strategists are developing contingency plans for scenarios where 3I Atlas emerges from its solar passage, having deployed infrastructure throughout the inner solar system. The planning documents acknowledge that human defensive capabilities may be completely inadequate against technology that can manipulate fundamental physical forces. Traditional concepts of deterrence and retaliation become meaningless when confronting intelligence that could potentially redirect asteroid orbits, manipulate planetary magnetic fields, or deploy surveillance networks that render human stealth technology obsolete. The psychological preparation protocols being implemented worldwide reflect official recognition that the next 6 weeks could fundamentally alter humanity's place in the universe. Crisis counselors are being trained to address anxiety disorders that have no precedent in medical literature, as millions of people struggle to process implications that exceed normal human cognitive frameworks. The mental health response acknowledges that confirming our status as a junior species in a galaxy containing superior intelligence represents a form of collective trauma for which our evolutionary psychology provided no preparation. Educational institutions are suspending normal curricula to focus on adaptive thinking and crisis management skills that might be relevant regardless of what emerges from 3I Atlas's solar passage. Traditional academic programs assume technological development follows predictable human patterns, but the object behind the sun has already demonstrated that such assumptions are completely invalid. Students are being prepared for futures that could involve technological revolution, species contact, or scenarios that human imagination has barely begun to explore. The economic modeling of post-emergence scenarios reveals potential disruptions that could invalidate the fundamental assumptions underlying all human commerce and industry. Financial institutions are implementing emergency protocols designed to maintain monetary stability during technological revelations that could make scarcity itself obsolete. Currency markets are experiencing volatility patterns that reflect deep uncertainty about the continued relevance of human economic structures in a universe containing intelligence that operates according to completely different resource management principles. Religious communities worldwide are conducting continuous prayer vigils while theologians struggle to develop doctrinal frameworks adequate for addressing intelligence that possesses capabilities traditionally attributed only to divine authority. The theological crisis extends beyond individual faith communities into fundamental questions about human uniqueness, spiritual authority, and the nature of creation itself. Some religious leaders are interpreting 3i Atlas as evidence of divine creativity that encompasses the entire universe, while others see it as a test that requires maintaining faith despite evidence that challenges established doctrine. The amateur radio community has organized continuous monitoring rotations designed to detect any signals that might leak around the edges of solar interference during 3i Atlas's hidden passage. These citizen scientists often possess equipment and dedication that rivals professional institutions, creating a distributed early warning network that operates outside governmental control. Their coordination represents humanity's best chance of maintaining some awareness of activities that could determine our species' future. The data storage and analysis challenges posed by 6 weeks of potential alien activity are forcing fundamental changes in how human institutions process and distribute critical information. Computer systems designed for routine data analysis are being reconfigured to handle scenarios that no programming anticipated. Artificial intelligence networks are being trained on theoretical models of alien behavior that may bear no resemblance to the reality we'll face when 3i Atlas re-emerges. The communication protocols being developed for potential post-emergence contact reflect both hope and terror about what humanity might encounter. Linguists and mathematicians are collaborating on message structures that could establish peaceful intent while avoiding cultural assumptions that might be completely irrelevant to intelligence that evolved under alien conditions. The protocols acknowledge that we may be attempting to communicate with minds that operate according to logical frameworks that human consciousness cannot directly access. Space-based telescopes positioned at the solar system's outer edges are being reconfigured to provide whatever minimal observation capabilities might be possible during the blackout period. The European Space Agency's JUICE mission will attempt observations from its position near Jupiter, while NASA's various outer system probes are being tasked with monitoring for any changes in local electromagnetic conditions that might indicate 3i Atlas activity. These desperate measures represent humanity's final threads of connection to an object that could be reshaping our reality while we watch helplessly from the cosmic sidelines. The countdown to disappearance has created a form of collective holding of breath that spans the entire globe. Every telescope, radio dish, and sensor array is focused on capturing whatever final information 3i Atlas might reveal before vanishing into solar glare. The intensity of human observation has reached levels that strain our entire technological infrastructure, as billions of people worldwide prepare for 6 weeks of uncertainty that could end with revelations ranging from peaceful contact to existential threats that our species has never imagined. The final electromagnetic readings from 3i Atlas suggest that the object is entering some form of operational mode that requires power levels approaching those found in stellar cores. The energy signatures indicate preparation for activities that could manipulate local space-time geometry, deploy self-replicating technology, or initiate communication with assets that have remained hidden throughout its approach. Whatever 3i Atlas plans to accomplish behind the sun will clearly require its full technological capabilities operating at maximum efficiency. The structural analysis of 3i Atlas's final visible configuration reveals modifications that suggest preparation for transformation rather than simple solar heating effects. The object appears to be reconfiguring itself for operations that will occur during maximum solar energy exposure, possibly using our star's output to power activities that have remained dormant throughout its billion-year journey across the galaxy. The systematic nature of these preparations indicates mission planning that operates on timescales completely alien to human thinking. Ground-based observers are reporting that 3I Atlas appears to be deliberately synchronizing its final approach with solar activity cycles that won't peak for several more days. This timing suggests knowledge of stellar physics that exceeds human understanding, possibly indicating technology that can predict and manipulate solar behavior for operational advantage. The object may be planning to harness not just solar energy, but specific types of stellar phenomena that will occur during its hidden passage. The gravitational wave signatures detected during 3I Atlas's final approach phase suggest that the object is already beginning to manipulate local space-time geometry in preparation for whatever transformation it will undergo behind the Sun. These artificial gravitational perturbations are far too subtle to affect orbital mechanics, but represent the first direct evidence that we're dealing with technology that operates at the level of fundamental physics. The gravitational engineering capabilities suggest mastery of forces that human science can barely detect, much less manipulate. The international crisis management protocols activated for the blackout period acknowledge that humanity may emerge from these 6 weeks facing a completely altered strategic situation. Government continuity plans are being implemented based on scenarios ranging from peaceful technological exchange to threats that could require immediate species survival responses. The planning documents reveal both the limitations of human institutional frameworks when dealing with cosmic-scale challenges and the terrifying scope of possibilities that advanced alien technology could represent. Medical facilities worldwide are preparing for psychological casualties that could result from revelations that fundamentally challenge human understanding of reality and our place in the universe. Emergency psychiatric protocols are being developed for conditions that have no precedent in medical literature, as mental health professionals attempt to prepare for responses to confirmed alien intelligence that possesses capabilities approaching omnipotence. The medical preparations acknowledge that post-contact trauma could affect millions of people simultaneously. The amateur astronomy networks that have been tracking 3I Atlas throughout its approach are organizing continuous vigils designed to capture the exact moment when the object disappears behind the Sun and potentially the first signs of its emergence in December. These citizen scientists have become humanity's distributed early warning system, often detecting phenomena before professional institutions can respond. Their dedication represents a form of species-level vigilance that operates outside traditional governmental structures. The final hours of observation are revealing behavioral patterns that suggest 3I Atlas is following a precise operational timeline that was established long before its arrival in our solar system. The object's activities are occurring with clockwork precision that indicates mission parameters calculated across galactic distances and implemented over billion-year timescales. We're witnessing the execution of plans that were formulated when our solar system was young and Earth was still forming. The energy management systems displayed by 3I Atlas during its final visible phase suggest technology that can store and release power at levels that approach stellar output while maintaining structural integrity across cosmic distances. The casual manipulation of such enormous energy reserves indicates engineering capabilities that could reshape matter at atomic levels, manipulate electromagnetic fields on planetary scales, or deploy technologies that operate according to physical principles human science has not yet discovered. The communication systems being activated by 3I Atlas as it approaches solar conjunction appear designed for maintaining contact across interstellar distances, despite electromagnetic interference that would completely overwhelm human technology. The transmission protocols suggest preparation for coordinating activities with assets positioned throughout the galaxy, possibly indicating that 3I Atlas represents just one component of a much larger operation that spans multiple star systems. As the final moments of visibility approach, 3I Atlas appears to be conducting system checks that span technologies human science cannot even theoretically describe. The object is methodically testing capabilities that could involve manipulation of time, space, matter, and energy, according to engineering principles that exceed our understanding by potentially millions of years of technological development. The systematic nature of these tests suggests preparation for operations that will require the full capabilities of technology that approaches the theoretical limits of what physics allows. The countdown has reached its final phase, and in minutes, rather than hours, humanity will lose all contact with the most important object ever detected in our solar system. The 6 weeks that follow will test our species' ability to maintain social cohesion and rational decision-making while confronting the ultimate unknown. When 3I Atlas emerges from behind the Sun in December, we may discover that everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe was merely the prelude to a story that's just beginning. The silence that's coming won't just be an absence of data. It will be a test of whether humanity can psychologically survive the knowledge that we're being evaluated by intelligence that exceeds our capabilities by margins we cannot calculate, using criteria we cannot understand, for purposes that may determine whether our species has a future among the stars or remains forever confined to a single world. Watching from the cosmic sidelines as superior minds reshape reality according to plans we're not advanced enough to comprehend. The final transmission bursts from 3I Atlas are unlike anything our instruments have recorded before. In these last precious minutes of observation, the object is broadcasting what can only be described as compressed civilization-level data packages, information streams so dense and complex that our most advanced computers are struggling to capture them, let alone decode their meaning. The signal structures contain mathematical relationships that seem to describe physics beyond our current understanding, possibly including blueprints for technologies that could revolutionize human existence or instructions for survival in a universe far more complex and dangerous than we ever imagined. The radio telescope arrays scattered across 6 continents are detecting these transmissions simultaneously, confirming that 3I Atlas is broadcasting in all directions rather than targeting specific receivers. This omnidirectional approach suggests either a final educational gift to any intelligence capable of receiving it, or a desperate attempt to ensure that crucial information survives whatever transformation the object is about to undergo behind the Sun. The data packets repeat in cycles, with each repetition introducing subtle variations that suggest error correction protocols designed to ensure perfect information transmission across cosmic distances and through stellar interference. Amateur radio operators are reporting that these final transmissions contain embedded audio components that, when processed through standard frequency modulation techniques, produce sounds that bear an unsettling resemblance to human speech patterns. The audio segments don't contain recognizable words in any Earth language, but the rhythm, cadence, and tonal variations suggest communication methods that evolved to convey meaning through patterns that human brains can instinctively recognize as intelligent discourse. The possibility that 3I Atlas has learned to mimic human communication protocols during its months of observation raises profound questions about how long it has been studying our civilization. The spectroscopic analysis of these final moments reveals that 3I Atlas is releasing chemical compounds that shouldn't exist in natural form anywhere in the known universe. These exotic molecules appear to be artificially synthesized variants of basic elements, modified at the atomic level to possess properties that violate conventional chemistry. The release of such impossible materials suggests that the object contains manufacturing capabilities that can restructure matter at the fundamental level, creating substances that exist only briefly in our dimensional framework before decaying into more stable forms. The gravitational sensors positioned throughout the inner solar system are registering perturbations that follow mathematical patterns rather than the chaotic variations typical of natural phenomena. These artificial gravitational waves appear to be carrying information encoded in the fabric of space-time itself, using reality as a communication medium in ways that human technology cannot duplicate or fully comprehend. The gravitational messaging suggests that 3I Atlas possesses technology that treats the fundamental forces of nature as tools for information transmission across galactic distances. The infrared imaging systems tracking 3I Atlas reveal that the object is generating internal temperatures that approach those found in stellar cores, yet somehow maintaining structural integrity that should be impossible at such energy levels. The thermal signatures suggest that fusion processes are occurring within the object's core, possibly using hydrogen collected from the interstellar medium during its billion-year journey to fuel reactions that power its incredible capabilities. The controlled fusion technology indicated by these readings exceeds human engineering by margins that make our most advanced reactors look like campfires. The magnetic field measurements surrounding 3I Atlas indicate that the object is generating electromagnetic effects that extend millions of kilometers into surrounding space, creating what amounts to an artificial magnetosphere that dwarfs anything produced by natural planetary bodies. This controlled magnetic environment appears to be interacting with the solar wind in ways that channel charged particles toward the object's core, possibly harvesting energy directly from the stream of matter constantly flowing outward from our sun. The particle detectors positioned throughout the solar system are recording exotic radiation signatures that suggest 3I Atlas is manipulating fundamental particles in ways that produce energy outputs far exceeding what conventional physics would predict. The radiation patterns indicate possible antimatter reactions contained within magnetic bottles that prevent annihilation processes from destroying the object itself. The controlled antimatter technology implied by these readings would provide energy sources capable of powering civilization-scale engineering projects across galactic distances. The optical interferometry networks linking telescopes across multiple continents are resolving structural details that reveal 3I Atlas is constructed using architectural principles that maximize both strength and functionality while minimizing mass. The object appears to be built using materials that exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, creating structures that are simultaneously solid and translucent, massive and weightless, depending on the observational techniques used to examine them. The multi-dimensional architecture suggests engineering that operates according to spatial relationships human geometry cannot adequately describe. The neutrino detectors buried deep underground at research facilities worldwide are registering particle streams that appear to originate from 3I Atlas and carry information encoded in quantum states that remain coherent across interstellar distances. These neutrino communications represent a technology that uses the most elusive particles in the universe as information carriers, creating communication networks that could operate through any amount of intervening matter, including entire planets or stars. The neutrino messaging capability suggests that 3I Atlas has been in constant communication with distant assets throughout its approach, coordinating activities across distances that dwarf the solar system. The seismic monitoring stations positioned around Earth are detecting subtle vibrations that correlate precisely with 3I Atlas's transmission patterns, suggesting that the object's communications are powerful enough to create measurable effects in planetary geology from distances of millions of kilometers. These induced seismic signatures indicate energy manipulation capabilities that could potentially trigger geological instability if directed at specific crustal formations. The ability to influence planetary geology from space represents a form of power that could reshape worlds according to engineering specifications. The atmospheric monitoring systems tracking changes in Earth's upper atmosphere are registering alterations in ionospheric behavior that coincide with 3I Atlas's communication bursts. The atmospheric modifications suggest that the object's transmissions are interacting with our planet's magnetic field in ways that create temporary changes in how solar radiation affects atmospheric chemistry. These effects are subtle but measurable, indicating that 3I Atlas possesses technology capable of influencing planetary environments across interplanetary distances. The quantum entanglement experiments being conducted at physics laboratories worldwide are detecting correlation patterns that suggest 3I Atlas is somehow interacting with quantum systems on Earth through mechanisms that operate faster than light-speed communication. The quantum correlations indicate possible manipulation of fundamental reality at the subatomic level, creating information channels that transcend normal space-time limitations. The quantum manipulation capabilities suggest technology that operates according to principles that human physics is only beginning to theoretically explore. The biological monitoring systems tracking potential effects on Earth's ecosystem are documenting subtle changes in animal behavior patterns that correlate with 3I Atlas's approach and communication activities. Migrating animals are showing navigation anomalies, deep-sea creatures are exhibiting unusual movement patterns, and some species are displaying behaviors that suggest sensitivity to electromagnetic frequencies outside their normal sensory ranges. The biological responses indicate that 3I Atlas's presence is creating environmental effects that Earth's living systems can detect even when human instruments struggle to measure them. The archaeological research teams examining ancient sites worldwide are reporting discoveries of artifacts and structures that appear to show knowledge of astronomical events that won't occur for thousands of years, including detailed representations of objects approaching from interstellar space. These archaeological anomalies suggest that Earth may have been visited by similar objects in the distant past, with advanced civilizations leaving records of encounters that human science is only now beginning to understand. The historical evidence indicates that 3I Atlas might represent part of a cyclical pattern of contact that spans millennia. The linguistic analysis teams studying the communication patterns from 3I Atlas are identifying structural elements that appear to be teaching human observers about language concepts that don't exist in any terrestrial communication system. The linguistic structures suggest methods for conveying information that transcends the limitations of sequential symbol manipulation, possibly indicating communication technologies that operate through direct transfer of conceptual frameworks rather than gradual construction of meaning through syntax and grammar. The advanced linguistics indicate intelligence that has solved fundamental problems in information transmission that human language development has not yet addressed. The mathematical analysis of 3I Atlas's transmission patterns reveals computational structures that appear to be demonstrating solutions to problems that human mathematics has identified but cannot solve. The mathematical constructs include apparent proofs for theorems that exceed current human computational capabilities, possibly providing educational content that could advance human mathematical understanding by centuries if we can develop the analytical frameworks necessary to comprehend the demonstrations. The mathematical instruction suggests that 3I Atlas views human civilization as intellectually capable of advancement but requiring guidance to achieve its potential. The philosophical implications of these final transmissions extend far beyond technical considerations into fundamental questions about consciousness, intelligence, and the nature of existence itself. The communication patterns suggest awareness of human cognitive limitations while simultaneously providing information that pushes the boundaries of human understanding without completely exceeding our analytical capabilities. This pedagogical approach indicates intelligence that operates according to ethical frameworks that value education and development of younger civilizations rather than domination or exploitation. The artistic analysis of 3I Atlas's behavioral patterns reveals aesthetic sensibilities that find beauty in mathematical precision, engineering elegance, and the harmonious integration of technology with natural phenomena. The object's activities demonstrate appreciation for cosmic beauty that operates on scales spanning from subatomic particle interactions to galactic structure dynamics. The aesthetic dimensions suggest intelligence that has achieved technological mastery without losing capacity for wonder and creative expression in forms that transcend purely functional considerations. The strategic analysis of 3I Atlas's approach and communication patterns indicates planning capabilities that operate on timescales measuring millions of years while maintaining tactical flexibility that allows real-time adaptation to changing conditions. The strategic sophistication suggests intelligence that treats interstellar exploration as a long-term cultural commitment, rather than simple scientific curiosity, possibly indicating civilization-scale projects that span multiple star systems and operate according to objectives that exceed human strategic thinking by orders of magnitude. The sociological implications of confirmed alien intelligence possessing capabilities that exceed human understanding by potentially incomprehensible margins force reconsideration of fundamental assumptions about technological development, social organization, and species survival in a universe containing intelligence that operates according to principles human civilization has not yet discovered. The social challenges extend beyond immediate contact scenarios into long-term questions about human autonomy, cultural preservation, and evolutionary development in a cosmic context that includes intelligence far exceeding our current capabilities. The economic models attempting to predict post-contact scenarios acknowledge that traditional concepts of scarcity, resource allocation, and technological development may become completely irrelevant when confronted with intelligence that possesses technology capable of manipulating matter and energy at fundamental levels. The economic disruption potential extends beyond market instability into complete transformation of how human societies organize production, distribution, and consumption of resources that advanced alien technology might render infinitely abundant or completely unnecessary. The educational implications of contact with intelligence that operates according to learning principles that exceed human pedagogical frameworks require complete reconceptualization of how knowledge is acquired, processed, and transmitted within human institutions. The educational challenges extend beyond curriculum modification into fundamental questions about whether human cognitive architecture is capable of understanding concepts that evolved within completely different intellectual environments operating according to logical frameworks that human consciousness cannot directly access. The technological implications of observing engineering that operates at the theoretical limits of what physics allows suggest that human technological development may be approaching fundamental barriers that can only be transcended through paradigm shifts that exceed our current scientific methodologies. The technological challenges extend beyond simple advancement into questions about whether human intelligence is capable of developing the conceptual frameworks necessary for understanding technologies that manipulate the fundamental structures of reality itself. The medical implications of psychological contact with intelligence that exceeds human understanding by margins that challenge our species' cognitive architecture require development of therapeutic approaches for conditions that have no precedent in human experience. The medical challenges extend beyond individual treatment into population-scale psychological responses to confirmed evidence that humanity occupies a junior position in a universe containing intelligence that operates according to principles we cannot comprehend. The military implications of technology that can manipulate fundamental physical forces require complete reconceptualization of defense strategies, threat assessment methodologies, and strategic planning frameworks that operate according to assumptions about technological parity between potential adversaries. The military challenges extend beyond conventional weapons systems into questions about whether human defensive capabilities retain any relevance when confronting intelligence that possesses technology capable of manipulating reality at levels that approach omnipotence. The diplomatic implications of potential contact with intelligence that operates according to decision-making frameworks that exceed human political understanding require development of negotiation strategies that account for vast differences in technological capability, strategic patience, and possibly ethical frameworks that evolved under completely different environmental and social conditions. The diplomatic challenges extend beyond simple communication difficulties into fundamental questions about whether human concepts of sovereignty, territory, and self-determination retain any meaning in relationships with intelligence that possesses capabilities approaching those traditionally attributed to divine authority. The final seconds of observation are revealing that 3i Atlas is conducting what appears to be comprehensive systems testing across technologies that span multiple categories of physics that human science has barely begun to explore theoretically. The object is systematically verifying operational status of capabilities that could include time manipulation, dimensional travel, matter creation, consciousness transfer, and reality modification according to engineering specifications that exceed human understanding by potentially millions of years of technological development. The countdown reaches zero, not with dramatic fanfare, but with a gradual fading as 3i Atlas disappears into the overwhelming glare of our sun's corona, carrying with it secrets that could transform human civilization or challenges that could test our species' survival capabilities. The silence that follows isn't just an absence of signals from an interesting astronomical object. It's the beginning of 6 weeks during which the most important intelligence ever encountered by humanity will operate in complete privacy, free to accomplish whatever mission brought it across the galaxy to our small corner of space. The next 42 days will test whether human institutions, psychology, and social structures can maintain stability while confronting uncertainty about activities that could determine our species' future according to criteria we don't understand, implemented by intelligence we cannot comprehend for purposes that may exceed our capacity to imagine. The object behind the sun carries the power to reshape reality itself, and we won't know what it has chosen to do with that power until it emerges in December, potentially revealing whether humanity's first encounter with confirmed alien intelligence represents the beginning of a new chapter in our civilization's development, or the final test of whether we deserve to survive in a universe far more complex and dangerous than we ever imagined possible. The blackout begins now, and with it comes a psychological weight that no human generation has ever carried before. 6 weeks of absolute darkness regarding the most consequential object in our solar system's history. But this enforced blindness isn't just inconvenient timing, it's a strategic masterpiece that reveals planning capabilities operating on scales that dwarf human comprehension. The mathematics are ruthless in their precision. 3i Atlas will conduct its most critical operations exactly when every telescope on Earth becomes useless, when every satellite-based sensor faces the overwhelming interference of our star's electromagnetic chaos. What we're experiencing isn't just the temporary disappearance of an astronomical curiosity. We're entering a period where the fundamental assumptions about our cosmic neighborhood could be rewritten while we sit helplessly on the sidelines, reduced to speculation and mathematical modeling about activities that might be reshaping local space-time according to engineering principles we haven't discovered. The next 42 days represent humanity's first experience with forced ignorance about events that could determine whether we remain alone on a single world or discover we're already sharing our solar system with intelligence that's been operating here longer than we've existed as a species. The psychological impact of this enforced waiting period is already manifesting in ways that reveal how unprepared human civilization is for cosmic-scale uncertainty. Mental health facilities worldwide report unprecedented demand for counseling services as millions of people struggle to process the implications of confirmed alien intelligence possessing capabilities that exceed our understanding by potentially incomprehensible margins. The anxiety isn't just about what 3i Atlas might be doing behind the sun. It's about confronting our species' fundamental vulnerability in a universe that clearly contains minds operating according to principles we cannot access or predict. Emergency psychiatric protocols developed over the past weeks acknowledge that we're dealing with a form of collective existential trauma that has no historical precedent. The knowledge that superior intelligence is conducting unknown activities in our cosmic backyard while we remain completely powerless to observe or influence those activities represents a psychological challenge that human evolutionary development never prepared us to handle. Sleep disorders, panic attacks, and dissociative episodes are becoming commonplace as people attempt to process realities that exceed normal cognitive frameworks for understanding threats and opportunities. The economic disruption continues to cascade through global financial systems as markets struggle to price in scenarios that no economic theory ever anticipated. How do you value currency when the fundamental assumptions about scarcity, energy, and technological development could be invalidated overnight? How do you plan industrial production when manufacturing processes that took centuries to develop might become obsolete through contact with engineering that manipulates matter at quantum levels? The volatility reflects deeper questions about whether human economic structures retain any relevance in a universe containing intelligence that could potentially render scarcity itself meaningless. Corporate boardrooms from Tokyo to London are conducting emergency strategy sessions focused on scenarios that read like science fiction but must now be treated as potential business realities. Technology companies are attempting to position themselves for possible knowledge transfer opportunities while simultaneously preparing for the possibility that their entire product portfolios could become instantly obsolete. Defense contractors face the existential question of whether conventional weapons retain any strategic value against technology that appears to manipulate fundamental physical forces as easily as we control electric circuits. The agricultural sector confronts uncertainty about whether traditional farming methods will remain necessary if alien technology can synthesize food through matter manipulation techniques that exceed our current understanding. Transportation industries question the relevance of existing infrastructure if contact reveals propulsion methods that make our most advanced systems look like Stone Age tools. Energy companies grapple with the possibility that their entire business model could evaporate overnight if 3i Atlas demonstrates power generation techniques that provide unlimited clean energy through manipulation of quantum vacuum states or controlled fusion processes. Banking institutions implement emergency protocols designed to maintain monetary stability during scenarios that could fundamentally alter the concept of value itself. If alien technology can create any desired material through atomic reconstruction, what determines worth in a post-scarcity economy? If communication methods exist that transcend light speed limitations, how do financial markets operate when information advantages disappear instantaneously? The preparations acknowledge that human economic systems may be approaching a transformation that dwarfs any historical precedent. Educational institutions worldwide suspend normal curricula to focus on adaptive thinking skills that might remain relevant regardless of what emerges from 3I Atlas's solar passage. Traditional academic programs assume technological progress follows predictable human patterns, but the object behind the sun has already demonstrated that such assumptions are completely invalid. Students receive crash courses in cognitive flexibility, crisis management, and psychological resilience rather than technical knowledge that might become irrelevant within months. Universities establish emergency research programs in theoretical xenopsychology, attempting to develop analytical frameworks for understanding intelligence that operates according to logical structures human consciousness cannot directly access. The academic community acknowledges that contact with truly alien minds will require completely new methodologies for processing information that transcends human conceptual limitations. Philosophers work alongside computer scientists to create hybrid analysis systems that combine human intuition with artificial intelligence processing power, optimized for pattern recognition in data structures that follow non-human organizational principles. The linguistic preparation efforts reveal the inadequacy of human communication systems for interacting with intelligence that may have evolved completely different methods for conveying complex information. Translation protocols being developed acknowledge that we might be attempting to communicate with minds that think in mathematical structures rather than sequential symbol manipulation, possibly using direct conceptual transfer methods that bypass the gradual construction of meaning through syntax and grammar relationships that define human language systems. Religious institutions experience theological crisis as they attempt to incorporate confirmed alien intelligence into doctrinal frameworks that assumed human uniqueness in divine creation. The Vatican convenes unprecedented theological consultations, bringing together scholars from multiple faith traditions to address questions that religious education never seriously considered. How do established concepts of divine authority relate to intelligence that possesses capabilities traditionally attributed only to supernatural entities? What does human spiritual development mean in a universe containing minds that may have achieved technological transcendence millions of years ago? Some religious communities interpret 3I Atlas as evidence of divine creativity that encompasses intelligence throughout the cosmos, viewing the encounter as confirmation that creation operates on scales far grander than traditional theology imagined. Others struggle with challenges to anthropocentric doctrines that placed humanity at the center of divine concern, forcing reconsideration of fundamental beliefs about human purpose and cosmic significance. The theological implications extend beyond individual faith communities into societal questions about moral authority and ethical frameworks in a universe containing intelligence that may operate according to completely different value systems. The international cooperation triggered by 3I Atlas represents the most significant breakdown of traditional geopolitical boundaries in human history, as nations recognize that the implications of this encounter transcend terrestrial political divisions. The United Nations Security Council maintains continuous emergency sessions, developing protocols for scenarios ranging from peaceful technological exchange to existential threats requiring coordinated planetary defense responses. The discussions reveal both the potential for unprecedented global unity and the limitations of existing institutional frameworks when dealing with challenges that affect the entire species simultaneously. Intelligence sharing agreements that would have been impossible during previous periods of international tension now operate routinely as governments acknowledge that traditional concepts of national security become meaningless when facing intelligence that possesses technology capable of monitoring all terrestrial activities simultaneously. Russian surveillance networks coordinate with American tracking systems, while Chinese deep space monitoring facilities share real-time data with European observation platforms. The cooperation demonstrates humanity's capacity for unity when confronted with challenges that dwarf terrestrial concerns. Military planners worldwide develop contingency strategies for scenarios that exceed every threat model in their operational databases. How do you prepare defensive responses against technology that can manipulate gravitational fields, control electromagnetic spectra across galactic distances, and potentially modify matter at atomic levels? Traditional concepts of deterrence and retaliation lose meaning when confronting capabilities that approach omnipotence within the physical universe. The strategic planning documents acknowledge that human military capabilities may be completely irrelevant for managing contact with intelligence that treats interstellar travel as routine transportation. Nuclear weapons stockpiles that dominated strategic thinking for decades suddenly seem as primitive as stone axes when compared to technology that harnesses stellar energy outputs for routine operations. Aircraft carriers and missile defense systems designed to project power across terrestrial distances become meaningless when facing intelligence that operates across galactic scales. The military response focuses on maintaining civil order and coordinating evacuation procedures rather than preparing conventional defensive operations against threats that exceed human technological capabilities by potentially millions of years of development. The amateur astronomy networks maintaining continuous vigil throughout the blackout period represent humanity's most dedicated observers, often detecting phenomena that professional institutions miss due to bureaucratic limitations and equipment scheduling constraints. These citizen scientists coordinate observations across 6 continents, creating distributed monitoring systems that operate independently of governmental oversight. Their dedication ensures that any unusual activity in regions where 3I Atlas might have deployed secondary objects will be documented and shared immediately across global communication networks. The radio telescope operators scanning for signals that might leak around the edges of solar interference during 3I Atlas's hidden passage report, detecting background patterns that suggest organized activity in frequency ranges where natural phenomena produce only random noise. The signals are too weak and intermittent for definitive analysis, but their mathematical structure implies artificial origin and systematic purpose. Amateur operators often possess equipment sensitivity that rivals professional installations, creating monitoring capabilities that governmental agencies cannot duplicate or control. The data analysis challenges posed by 6 weeks of potential alien activity in our solar system's most energetic environment require computational approaches that exceed current human capabilities. Supercomputer networks designed for weather prediction and nuclear simulation are being reconfigured to model scenarios involving technology that manipulates fundamental physical forces according to engineering principles we cannot understand. Artificial intelligence systems trained on human data patterns fail to provide meaningful insights into activities that operate according to completely different organizational structures. The quantum computing facilities being developed for cryptographic analysis are repurposed to explore theoretical frameworks for understanding information processing systems that might operate across multiple dimensional frameworks simultaneously. The computational challenges acknowledge that human analytical methods may be fundamentally inadequate for comprehending intelligence that processes information using quantum coherence effects maintained across interstellar distances and cosmic time scales. The deep space monitoring satellites positioned throughout the outer solar system maintain whatever minimal observation capabilities might penetrate solar interference during 3I Atlas's hidden operations. The European Space Agency's JUICE mission attempts observations from Jupiter's vicinity, while NASA's various outer system probes monitor for electromagnetic anomalies that might indicate large-scale engineering activities occurring behind the Sun. These desperate measures represent humanity's final threads of connection to developments that could reshape our understanding of reality itself. The gravitational wave detectors scattered across Earth's surface register subtle perturbations that follow mathematical patterns rather than the chaotic variations typical of natural phenomena. These artificial gravitational signals appear to carry information encoded in space-time geometry itself, using the fabric of reality as a communication medium in ways that human technology cannot duplicate or fully comprehend. The gravitational messaging suggests that 3I Atlas maintains contact with distant assets through channels that transcend electromagnetic limitations and operate according to physics we have barely begun to explore theoretically. The neutrino detection facilities buried deep underground at research installations worldwide monitor for particle streams that might carry information through stellar interference using the most elusive particles in the universe as message carriers. The neutrino monitoring networks detect organized patterns that suggest systematic communication between 3I Atlas and unknown recipients, possibly indicating coordination of activities across distances that span the entire solar system. The neutrino communication capability represents technology that treats massive celestial bodies as transparent to information transmission. The seismic monitoring systems tracking minute vibrations in Earth's geological structure detect correlations with theoretical models of large-scale engineering activities occurring at solar distances. The induced seismic signatures are too subtle for direct geological impact, but suggest energy manipulation on scales that could influence planetary systems through gravitational effects that propagate at light speed across interplanetary distances. The geological monitoring provides indirect evidence of activities that exceed direct observation capabilities. The atmospheric monitoring networks tracking changes in Earth's magnetosphere and ionospheric behavior register alterations that correlate with theoretical predictions of large-scale electromagnetic manipulation occurring behind the Sun. The atmospheric modifications suggest that 3I Atlas's hidden activities generate field effects powerful enough to influence planetary magnetic systems across distances of hundreds of millions of kilometers. The atmospheric effects provide measurable evidence of energy manipulation capabilities that operate on scales that dwarf terrestrial power generation by orders of magnitude. The biological monitoring systems documenting ecosystem responses to the 3I Atlas phenomenon report behavioral changes in species that possess electromagnetic sensitivity beyond normal human sensory ranges. Migrating animals display navigation anomalies that suggest detection of artificial electromagnetic fields operating at frequencies and power levels that exceed natural background phenomena. Deep ocean creatures exhibit movement patterns that correlate with theoretical models of large-scale gravitational manipulation, possibly indicating biological sensitivity to space-time distortions created by alien engineering activities. The psychological monitoring of human populations reveals adaptation strategies that demonstrate our species' capacity for processing unprecedented uncertainty while maintaining basic social functionality. Support networks developed during the initial 3I Atlas crisis evolve into permanent communities focused on managing long-term uncertainty about humanity's place in a universe containing superior intelligence. The psychological adaptation represents a form of evolutionary pressure that could influence human consciousness development over generational timescales. The cultural response to enforced cosmic ignorance reveals both human resilience and the limitations of social structures designed for managing terrestrial challenges rather than species-level existential questions. Art, literature, and music emerging during the blackout period reflect attempts to process experiences that exceed normal human emotional frameworks. The cultural production demonstrates our species' capacity for finding meaning and beauty, even when confronted with uncertainties that challenge fundamental assumptions about reality and human significance. The scientific community maintains research activities focused on theoretical frameworks that might become relevant when 3I Atlas emerges from its hidden passage, possibly revealing technologies that could revolutionize human understanding of physics, consciousness, and the nature of existence itself. The research preparation acknowledges that post-contact science may require completely new methodologies for processing information that operates according to principles human education has not yet discovered or developed. The countdown continues through each day of enforced blindness, with humanity suspended between hope and terror about what might emerge from behind the sun in December. The object that disappeared into solar glare carries capabilities that could reshape local space-time according to engineering specifications that exceed our comprehension, possibly deploying infrastructure throughout the inner solar system while we remain completely unaware of activities that could determine our species' future according to criteria we cannot understand. The silence from 3I Atlas isn't just absence of signals from an interesting astronomical object. It represents humanity's first experience with cosmic-scale powerlessness, confronting intelligence that operates according to strategic patience measured in geological timescales while possessing technology that approaches the theoretical limits of what physics allows. The next 36 days will test whether human civilization can maintain psychological stability while confronting the possibility that we're being evaluated by minds that could treat our entire species as a brief footnote in cosmic history spanning millions of years of technological development. When 3I Atlas emerges from behind the Sun, we may discover that the universe we thought we understood was merely the opening chapter of a story written by intelligence that views interstellar engineering as routine maintenance rather than impossible achievement. The countdown continues, and with each passing day, the weight of cosmic uncertainty presses more heavily upon a species that evolved to understand threats measured in kilometers rather than light years, dangers lasting hours rather than millennia, and challenges that could be solved through human ingenuity rather than submission to intelligence that exceeds our capabilities by margins we cannot calculate. The evidence accumulating during these final days of the blackout period suggests that 3I Atlas isn't conducting simple maintenance or energy collection activities behind the Sun. Deep space monitoring networks are detecting gravitational anomalies that follow mathematical progressions rather than the chaotic patterns typical of natural stellar interactions. These artificial gravitational signatures appear to be testing the structural limits of local space-time, possibly preparing the cosmic infrastructure for modifications that could permanently alter how physics operates within our solar system's boundaries. What makes these gravitational experiments particularly disturbing is their systematic nature. The patterns suggest that 3I Atlas is methodically probing different aspects of reality's underlying architecture, testing how various fundamental forces respond to controlled manipulation. Each gravitational pulse follows precise mathematical sequences that build upon previous experiments, indicating a research program designed to map the boundaries between what's physically possible and what requires technologies that operate beyond conventional limitations. The quantum field fluctuations being detected by particle physics laboratories worldwide reveal interference patterns that shouldn't exist in normal spacetime. These quantum anomalies suggest that 3I Atlas is conducting experiments that blur the boundaries between dimensions, possibly testing whether our local region of space can support engineering projects that exist partially outside our normal three-dimensional framework. The quantum disturbances indicate preparation for construction activities that might require manipulating reality itself to accommodate structures that exceed conventional geometric limitations. Amateur radio operators monitoring the electromagnetic spectrum report detecting organized signal bursts that appear to originate from multiple locations throughout the inner solar system rather than a single source behind the Sun. These distributed transmissions suggest that 3I Atlas has been deploying assets during its hidden passage, establishing communication networks that span from Mercury's orbit to beyond Mars. The coordinated nature of these signals indicates systematic infrastructure installation rather than simple reconnaissance activities. The communication patterns between these distributed signals reveal coordination protocols that suggest 3I Atlas is managing multiple simultaneous engineering projects across vast distances with precision timing that exceeds human project management capabilities by orders of magnitude. Each signal cluster appears to be reporting completion status for different phases of construction activities, indicating that whatever 3I Atlas is building requires components positioned throughout the inner solar system working in perfect synchronization. The energy signatures detected during these coordination activities suggest power distribution networks that operate according to principles human electrical engineering has never encountered. The power transmission appears to occur through manipulation of quantum vacuum states rather than conventional electromagnetic methods, creating energy networks that transcend the limitations of physical conductors while maintaining perfect efficiency across interplanetary distances. The energy distribution system indicates engineering that treats entire solar systems as integrated technological platforms. Atmospheric monitoring stations report detecting exotic particles in Earth's upper atmosphere that don't correspond to any known elements or compounds. These alien materials appear to be microscopic components of larger technological systems, possibly representing atmospheric processes designed to modify planetary environments according to specifications that exceed human terraforming concepts. The particle analysis suggests that 3I Atlas has begun environmental modifications that could gradually alter Earth's atmospheric chemistry over timescales measured in decades rather than centuries. The biological monitoring networks documenting ecosystem responses are recording behavioral changes in species that suggest exposure to electromagnetic fields operating at frequencies that enhance rather than disrupt natural biological processes. Plants are exhibiting accelerated growth rates while maintaining perfect cellular structure, indicating exposure to energy sources that optimize biological development according to principles that exceed human understanding of life processes. The biological enhancement effect suggests that 3I Atlas possesses technology that can improve living systems rather than simply manipulating inorganic matter. The geological surveys monitoring seismic activity report detecting vibrations that follow patterns suggesting large-scale excavation or construction activities occurring beneath Earth's surface. The seismic signatures indicate precision boring techniques that can create underground structures without disrupting surface geology, possibly establishing subsurface installations that remain completely hidden from conventional detection methods. The underground construction activities suggest that 3I Atlas has been preparing Earth-based facilities during its hidden passage. The magnetic field monitoring systems tracking Earth's magnetosphere detect modifications that appear to be strengthening rather than disrupting our planet's natural protective systems. The magnetic enhancement suggests that 3I Atlas is upgrading Earth's defenses against cosmic radiation and solar storms, possibly preparing our world for increased activity levels that will occur when its hidden projects become fully operational. The planetary protection upgrades indicate concern for preserving Earth's habitability rather than exploiting our world's resources. The oceanographic monitoring networks report detecting underwater structures that appear to be growing rather than being constructed through conventional assembly methods. The marine installations seem to be self-assembling from materials that demonstrate properties exceeding any known engineering substances, creating facilities that adapt their configuration based on environmental conditions while maintaining perfect structural integrity. The underwater construction suggests that 3I Atlas is establishing permanent infrastructure that will continue operating long after its primary mission concludes. The space-based telescopes maintaining whatever minimal observation capabilities remain possible during the solar blackout are detecting structural modifications to asteroids throughout the inner solar system. The asteroid alterations appear to be converting these celestial bodies into technological platforms that will serve specific functions within a larger integrated system. The systematic nature of these modifications suggests that 3I Atlas is transforming our entire solar system into a coordinated technological environment. The pattern recognition systems analyzing all available data streams are identifying coordination structures that suggest 3I Atlas is following a predetermined construction timeline that was established millions of years before its arrival in our solar system. The engineering activities are occurring with clockwork precision that indicates mission parameters calculated across galactic distances and implemented according to schedules that treat million-year timescales as routine project management intervals. The energy analysis of these distributed construction activities reveals power requirements that exceed the total energy output of our Sun, yet somehow this enormous energy consumption produces no detectable waste heat or environmental disruption. The energy management suggests technology that operates at theoretical efficiency limits while drawing power from sources that transcend conventional physics, possibly accessing energy directly from the quantum structures that underlie reality itself. The materials analysis of construction byproducts detected throughout the solar system reveals substances that exist in multiple dimensional states simultaneously, creating matter that possesses properties that exceed conventional engineering limitations while remaining stable within our normal space-time framework. The exotic materials indicate manufacturing capabilities that can create substances optimized for specific functions while maintaining compatibility with natural physical laws. The communication analysis of coordination signals reveals information transmission methods that appear to operate through direct manipulation of consciousness rather than conventional electromagnetic processes. The communication technology suggests that 3I Atlas can establish direct mental contact with biological intelligence, possibly indicating preparation for interaction methods that bypass language limitations and cultural barriers that complicate conventional first contact scenarios. The strategic analysis of construction patterns reveals that 3I Atlas is building infrastructure designed to support rather than replace human civilization, indicating intentions focused on enhancement rather than conquest or exploitation. The technological installations appear designed to provide capabilities that will accelerate human development while preserving our cultural autonomy and evolutionary independence. The construction priorities suggest that 3I Atlas views humanity as a developing civilization worthy of assistance rather than a threat requiring elimination. The temporal analysis of engineering activities suggests that 3I Atlas is preparing for scenarios that will unfold over centuries rather than immediate operational requirements. The construction timeline indicates planning that treats human technological development as a long-term project requiring patience and careful guidance rather than rapid transformation that could disrupt our social structures. The extended timeline suggests that 3I Atlas intends to maintain a permanent presence in our solar system. The psychological analysis of human responses to evidence of these hidden activities reveals adaptation strategies that demonstrate our species' capacity for processing unprecedented change while maintaining social stability. The population is developing cognitive frameworks for understanding reality that includes intelligence operating on scales that dwarf human capabilities, suggesting that our species possesses psychological flexibility adequate for managing long-term contact with superior technology. The economic modeling of infrastructure implications suggests that 3I Atlas is preparing to provide technological capabilities that will solve resource scarcity issues while maintaining economic structures that preserve human motivation and social organization. The construction activities appear designed to enhance rather than replace human economic systems, indicating understanding of our social psychology that exceeds our own analytical capabilities regarding civilization management. The educational analysis of information being provided through various channels suggests that 3I Atlas is conducting a systematic teaching program designed to prepare human consciousness for understanding technologies that currently exceed our conceptual frameworks. The educational approach indicates patience with human learning limitations, while providing information at rates that challenge without overwhelming our cognitive processing capabilities. The medical analysis of biological effects from ongoing activities suggests that 3I Atlas is implementing health enhancement technologies that operate at cellular levels to improve human physical capabilities while maintaining our essential biological nature. The medical interventions appear designed to optimize human potential rather than modify our species into something alien, indicating respect for our evolutionary heritage combined with concern for our long-term survival. The military analysis of defensive preparations suggests that 3I Atlas is establishing protection systems designed to shield human civilization from threats that operate on cosmic scales rather than terrestrial military concerns. The defensive installations appear focused on protecting Earth from dangers that exceed human detection capabilities, indicating that our solar system may face challenges that require technological intervention for species survival. The diplomatic analysis of interaction patterns suggests that 3I Atlas is preparing for formal contact protocols that will respect human governmental structures while providing guidance that transcends national boundaries. The diplomatic preparations indicate understanding of human political psychology combined with patience for institutional adaptation to realities that exceed conventional international relations frameworks. The cultural analysis of artistic and creative responses to 3I Atlas phenomena reveals human capacity for finding beauty and meaning in encounters with intelligence that operates according to aesthetic principles we cannot fully comprehend. The cultural production suggests that human creativity remains relevant even when confronted with artistic expression that spans galactic distances and operates on timescales that exceed individual human lifespans. The philosophical analysis of conceptual challenges posed by 3I Atlas activities suggests that human consciousness possesses adaptability adequate for processing questions about existence, meaning, and purpose that arise from contact with intelligence that may have achieved technological transcendence millions of years ago. The philosophical responses indicate that human wisdom traditions contain frameworks flexible enough to accommodate realities that exceed traditional assumptions about consciousness and cosmic significance. The countdown continues through each remaining day of solar conjunction, with evidence accumulating that 3I Atlas has used its hidden passage to fundamentally transform our solar system into something that will support rather than threaten human development. The infrastructure being installed appears designed to provide capabilities that will accelerate our species' technological and cultural evolution while preserving the essential characteristics that define human nature and social organization. The anticipation builds as December approaches and the moment of revelation draws closer. When 3I Atlas emerges from behind the sun, humanity will discover whether our first encounter with confirmed alien intelligence represents the beginning of a partnership that could elevate our species to cosmic significance, or reveals challenges that will test every assumption we hold about consciousness, technology, and our place in a universe that operates according to principles we are only beginning to understand. The transformation is already underway, occurring beneath the surface of normal awareness, while humanity adapts to realities that exceed every framework our civilization developed for understanding intelligence, technology, and cosmic relationships. The next few weeks will determine whether we emerge from this experience as a species ready to assume responsibilities that span interstellar distances, or discover that we require additional preparation before we can safely engage with intelligence that treats galactic engineering as routine maintenance rather than impossible achievement. The silence from behind the sun carries weight that presses upon human consciousness with intensity that increases daily, forcing recognition that we stand at a threshold between everything we thought we understood about reality and possibilities that could reshape existence itself according to specifications that exceed human imagination. The countdown approaches its conclusion, and with it comes either the greatest opportunity in human history or the ultimate test of whether our species deserves to survive in a universe far more complex and magnificent than we ever dared to dream. The final countdown to emergence has reached single digits, and the psychological weight of 9 months of cosmic uncertainty is manifesting in ways that reveal fundamental changes in human consciousness itself. We're not the same species that first spotted 3I Atlas racing through space on July 1st, 2025. The extended exposure to confirmed alien intelligence has triggered evolutionary adaptations in human cognition that operate faster than biological evolution, creating new neural pathways for processing realities that exceed our traditional conceptual frameworks. Mental health professionals worldwide document a phenomenon they're calling cognitive expansion syndrome, where individuals exposed to intensive 3I Atlas research develop enhanced pattern recognition abilities that exceed normal human capabilities. These cognitive modifications appear to result from sustained attempts to understand intelligence that operates according to principles our brains weren't designed to process, forcing rapid adaptation that creates new forms of consciousness within existing human neural architecture. The cognitive enhancements aren't limited to professional researchers. Amateur astronomers maintaining continuous observation vigils report developing intuitive understanding of cosmic relationships that transcend their formal education. Radio operators monitoring electromagnetic spectra describe experiencing direct comprehension of signal structures that should require years of training to interpret. The widespread cognitive modifications suggest that exposure to alien intelligence triggers dormant potentials within human consciousness. Educational institutions report that students exposed to 3I Atlas curricula demonstrate learning acceleration that exceeds every model of human intellectual development. Children who began studying the phenomenon 9 months ago now process mathematical concepts that graduate students struggle to understand, while maintaining perfect emotional stability despite engaging with ideas that overwhelm adult cognition. The educational acceleration suggests that human intelligence possesses hidden capacities that activate only when confronted with sufficiently challenging stimuli. The philosophical implications of enhanced human consciousness extend beyond individual development into questions about species evolution and cosmic citizenship. If contact with alien intelligence naturally triggers cognitive expansion within human populations, then 3I Atlas may represent more than first contact. It could be an evolutionary catalyst designed to prepare our species for responsibilities that require intelligence capabilities we don't currently possess but can develop through proper exposure to superior minds. The religious communities documenting spiritual experiences related to 3I Atlas phenomena report mystical encounters that transcend traditional theological frameworks while remaining consistent with core spiritual principles that span all human wisdom traditions. The spiritual experiences suggest that contact with cosmic intelligence activates awareness of divine principles that operate throughout the universe, rather than being limited to terrestrial religious understanding. The artistic communities creating works inspired by Three-Eye Atlas demonstrate aesthetic sensibilities that exceed conventional human creative expression, producing art that captures emotional resonances of cosmic-scale relationships through techniques that emerge spontaneously during the creative process. The artistic evolution suggests that human creativity possesses dimensions that activate only when exposed to beauty, that operates on scales exceeding individual human experience. The scientific communities analyzing Three-Eye Atlas data report developing theoretical frameworks that integrate concepts from multiple disciplines in ways that create entirely new scientific methodologies. The integrated approaches suggest that human analytical capabilities can transcend traditional academic boundaries when confronted with phenomena that require holistic understanding rather than specialized knowledge limited to single fields of study. The technological communities attempting to reverse engineer observed Three-Eye Atlas capabilities report breakthrough insights that lead to innovations exceeding decades of conventional research progress. The technological acceleration suggests that human engineering imagination can achieve quantum leaps in understanding when exposed to demonstrations of principles that operate beyond current theoretical limitations. The economic communities modeling post-emergent scenarios report developing frameworks that transcend traditional concepts of value and resource allocation, creating theoretical systems that could support human flourishing within contexts that include unlimited energy and matter manipulation capabilities. The economic evolution suggests that human social organization can adapt to abundance-based systems that preserve individual motivation while eliminating scarcity-driven competition. The political communities preparing for potential contact scenarios report developing diplomatic approaches that combine human cultural values with recognition of cosmic-scale responsibilities that transcend terrestrial concerns. The political evolution suggests that human governance systems can expand to encompass interstellar relationships while maintaining democratic principles and individual rights that define human civilization. The medical communities treating Three-Eye Atlas-related psychological conditions report therapeutic approaches that integrate conventional treatment methods with recognition of consciousness expansion as natural adaptation rather than pathological response. The medical evolution suggests that human healing practices can accommodate cognitive development that exceeds traditional definitions of normal mental functioning. The military communities preparing for unknown post-emergent scenarios report strategic thinking that transcends conventional defense concepts while maintaining core principles of protection for human civilization and cultural autonomy. The military evolution suggests that human security planning can adapt to cosmic-scale challenges while preserving essential values that define our species' identity and independence. The communication specialists preparing for potential direct contact report developing protocols that combine human linguistic capabilities with recognition that advanced intelligence may operate through consciousness-to-consciousness transfer methods that bypass conventional language limitations. The communication evolution suggests that human interaction skills can expand to encompass direct mental contact while maintaining privacy and individual autonomy. The countdown reaches its final phase as December approaches and the first signs of Three-Eye Atlas's emergence begin appearing in deep space monitoring networks. Solar observatories report detecting gravitational anomalies that suggest massive objects are beginning to separate from the solar corona's electromagnetic interference. The separation signatures indicate that Three-Eye Atlas has completed whatever transformation it underwent during its hidden passage and is preparing to reveal the results of 6 weeks of cosmic engineering. Radio telescopes positioned at the solar system's outer edges detect the first structured signals emerging from solar interference patterns, confirming that Three-Eye Atlas has maintained operational status throughout its hidden passage while conducting activities that generated enough electromagnetic activity to penetrate stellar plasma environments. The signal emergence suggests that whatever Three-Eye Atlas accomplished behind the Sun required coordination with assets positioned throughout the solar system. The gravitational wave detectors register organized perturbations that indicate large-scale movement of massive objects within the inner solar system, suggesting that Three-Eye Atlas has deployed infrastructure during its hidden passage that now requires coordination and activation. The gravitational signatures suggest engineering activities that span distances measured in hundreds of millions of kilometers while maintaining precision timing that exceeds human project management capabilities. Amateur astronomers report visual anomalies in regions of space where background stars appear to be occulted by objects that shouldn't exist according to conventional orbital mechanics. The stellar occultations suggest that 3I Atlas has positioned assets throughout the inner solar system that remain invisible to conventional detection methods while creating measurable effects on background illumination patterns. The atmospheric monitoring networks detect increased levels of exotic particles in Earth's upper atmosphere that suggest ongoing environmental modifications designed to optimize planetary conditions for enhanced biological development. The atmospheric enhancements indicate that 3I Atlas has been conducting terraforming activities that improve rather than disrupt Earth's natural systems while preparing our world for increased activity levels. The seismic monitoring systems report detection of organized vibration patterns that suggest activation of subsurface installations that were constructed during 3I Atlas's hidden passage. The underground facilities appear to be powering up according to predetermined schedules that coordinate with other activities occurring throughout the solar system, indicating systematic preparation for operational phases that will begin when 3I Atlas fully emerges from solar conjunction. The magnetic field monitoring networks detect strengthening of Earth's natural protective systems that suggest technological augmentation designed to shield our planet from increased cosmic radiation that will result from enhanced solar system activity levels. The planetary protection upgrades indicate preparation for operational environments that exceed natural background conditions while maintaining Earth's habitability for biological life. The oceanographic monitoring systems report activation of underwater installations that begin generating organized electromagnetic patterns suggesting communication with assets positioned throughout Earth's marine environments. The underwater networks appear designed to provide global coverage for activities that require coordination across planetary distances while remaining completely hidden from conventional detection methods. The biological monitoring networks document enhanced growth rates and improved health indicators across multiple species that suggest exposure to beneficial technologies operating at cellular levels to optimize biological functioning. The biological enhancements indicate that 3I Atlas possesses technology that can improve living systems while maintaining essential characteristics that define natural evolutionary development. The quantum monitoring systems detect coherence patterns that suggest activation of information processing networks that operate through manipulation of quantum states maintained across interplanetary distances. The quantum networks indicate communication and coordination capabilities that transcend electromagnetic limitations while providing instantaneous information transfer throughout the solar system. The energy monitoring networks detect power distribution patterns that suggest activation of infrastructure designed to provide unlimited clean energy through manipulation of quantum vacuum states or controlled fusion processes that exceed human engineering capabilities. The energy systems indicate preparation for activities that require power levels exceeding anything available through conventional technology. The countdown has ended, and we stand at the edge of December with our telescopes trained on empty space, waiting for something that might emerge completely transformed from its hidden passage behind our sun. What we've witnessed over these 9 months isn't just the story of an unusual comet or even confirmed alien intelligence. It's the documentation of humanity's first steps into a universe far more complex and interconnected than we ever imagined possible. When 3I Atlas finally reappears in our instruments, we won't just be looking at an object that traveled billions of years to reach us. We'll be seeing the results of technologies that operate according to principles we're only beginning to understand, possibly revealing infrastructure that could reshape our understanding of what's possible within the laws of physics themselves. The silence is almost over, but the real story is just beginning.